Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Along with Jason Lloyd and Tyvis Powell, I'm Adam the Bull. We've got Mike, Anthony, and Steve on the other side of the glass. A lot to get to today. Are the Cavs ready to make a trade? People determining quarterback play by statistics in minicamp, which is batshit crazy. Plus the Guardians with a great comeback win to salvage the finale of their series with the Dodgers. Plus, will the Rockies be the worst baseball team in the history of the sport?
I just looked up and noticed we have chairs everywhere. Like, what is going on with the chairs?
What do you mean? Besides that one, what's that?
One and that one and
isn't that one always there?
That one's always there.
That's always there.
I think it's at a different angle than it normally is, maybe. So it looks like it. Well, Zac Jackson's coming in studio, and that's why we have that chair.
I get that, and those two are always there, but I didn't think those two were over there.
They're literally always there, Jason.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're literally always there.
Where do you think I sit before the show? I was just talking to you.
You can't coach awareness.
Team ADD, baby. Team ADD.
He tells on himself all the time.
That's funny. Tyvis busted me making an illegal traffic maneuver today. We'll not get into that because we don't want to know. But speaking of driving, Mike had an incident.
Yeah.
Something.
This was spectacular.
Yeah.
And I do believe in karma, and sometimes karma happens. It takes 10 years to show itself. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes. Sometimes it takes 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So on my way into work this morning, I'm on the shortway coming down. I usually take the East 9th exit to get to KYC. And about 100 yards before the exit, some guy flies in front of me. He was behind me, passes me, and then goes to the exit. Fine.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry.
It wasn't you. And I know it wasn't you. And as he was passing me, he flipped me off. And as he got in front of me, rolled down his window, pulled his hand up, and flipped me off.
What?
No idea. I was going 55 and a 50. It wasn't like I was going slow. It was 100 yards before the exit.
He probably hates your Cavs takes.
Well, I don't know if he knew it was me.
Trade Darius Garland for crying out loud.
It gets better. So we are now at the Lakeside and East 9th light.
Yeah.
And he's one car in front of me.
Yeah.
So he did all that to get stuck at the same red light I am. I don't want to say he was homeless.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. I can't confirm he was a crackhead, but he was a crackhead.
He was driving a car.
No. This is the guy on the sidewalk.
Okay. Yeah.
Starts digging through the trash can right next to us and just throwing trash in the air. So a brown paper bag falls on the guy who cut me off, who's in front of me, fell on his windshield. So he honks at the guy throwing trash.
Yeah.
The guy looks at him, looks in the trash can, finds a Pepsi bottle, opens Pepsi bottle, dumps it on the guy's car. The guy honks and then makes an illegal left turn into traffic to get away. And I'm just sitting there. That would have been me. Had this guy not cut me off, flipped me off in the process, he would have been one car behind me, and I wouldn't have honked at the homeless guy or whatever, whatever.
Good for the homeless guy.
But he honked at the homeless.
Nice.
He looked in the trash can. There was a bottle of Pepsi Coke. I don't know exactly what it was. Opened it and just dumped it on this dude's car.
That was awesome.
It was instant karma.
Yeah.
And I had never been happier to witness whatever the hell I just witnessed.
Yeah.
Because that would have been me. Literally would have been me.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I was doing to get flipped off. Maybe he knew it was me.
That's what we need to know. Is what were you doing?
He obviously was in a rush, and McNuggets wasn't going the same speed
But he was going. 55 is above the speed limit on the shoreway.
Yeah, it is.
And it was literally 100 yards to the exit.
Right. So that's weird. Maybe you.
No idea.
When you got on the highway, did you cut him off? Because is it possible you cut him off?
I was on the shoreway.
We need to know this. If this guy is out there, if somebody knows who he was.
216-578, call in.
Well,
folks, if anybody out there gets a story from a friend that this happened to them, he needs to tell us why he gave Mike the finger.
If you're watching and you had a homeless guy pour Coke on your car this morning, send us an email. That's the easiest way to figure out.
Or if your friend told you that story, because it was. What's bizarre also about that story is, as I was driving in, I'm listening to this comedian just tell a joke, whatever, and he was telling a joke about somebody cutting him off and giving him the finger.
It's going around.
Obviously, this is not the same situation.
It's an epidemic.
This is recorded, this I don't know when this comedy routine took place, but how bizarre is that? I happen to be listening to that, and this actually happened to you
When's
today.
the last time you gave somebody the finger in the car? Yesterday? 2 weeks ago? It has to be recent.
No, I actually haven't. I have mellowed.
Did you flip
I
off
get
Bernie?
flipped off.
What's that?
Didn't you flip off Bernie as a joke a couple weeks ago?
Off Bernie. No, I did not flip off Bernie. I understand why you would think that. In the past, I've given people the finger a million times, but in recent years, I haven't really done it much.
You really went past somebody and just flipped them the bird.
Oh, if they like cut me off or did something stupid on the road.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. I've stopped doing it, but I
don't think
used
I've
to.
ever done that in my life. Now, I've had somebody flip me off. You know what I do?
Yeah.
Beep, beep. I hit the horn and be laughing.
Oh, my God. All right, we got so much to get to today, Mike. Let's get it going.
Yeah, let's dive into it, guys. Our first topic of the day is brought to us by Buckeye State Credit Union. If you haven't heard of Buckeye State Credit Union yet, let me introduce you to your new favorite financial partner. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local institution offering everything from checking accounts to home equity lines of credit and auto loans with some of the lowest rates in all of Northeast Ohio. Their Cleveland branch is in Shaker Heights, which is one of 5 locations across the state, making it easy to find one near you. If you can't get to a branch, no problem. They make banking easy through digital banking. What sets them apart? Well, they make banking personal and convenient. At Buckeye, their focus is you. Their core values, connect, simplify, and adapt, guide everything they do, bringing people together, cutting through the clutter, and are more innovative. To learn more, visit buckeyecu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union, your money simplified.
I'm my son's favorite financial partner, by the way.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And I hope
Comes to me
Jason
for money
is
all the time.
AJ's and his other 2 kids. And I
Sure
hope
you have the
Travis
same
is his
thing.
daughter's
I
favorite
pay
financial
for
partners.
grades.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do that. I go broke, man.
Oh, no, I don't. But that's good.
Like $20 an A?
Oh, I give them probably high school we might up it, but right
Yeah.
now it's $10 for an A, $5 for a B, nothing for a C. I've never in my life rooted so hard for my kids to get C's. They are breaking.
I want some solid mediocrity here. Let's go.
I root for C's and D's for my kids.
Especially because you're gonna have
That's
to.
a
You've
shame.
got to up those. Grades.
I mean,
It's a shame.
AJ gets straight A's.
Okay.
Every quarter.
Good.
No! It costs me a lot of
I
money.
don't want him to be good at school. What's the matter with this kid?
Abe was all A's and B's.
Yeah, you're gonna be broke.
I know.
Hey, Mike.
Whose dumb idea was that?
Incentivize the kids to do what they're supposed to do.
All right.
Yeah, so yesterday was day 2 of OTAs. It was
Yeah.
the first time media was allowed to be out there to get a first-hand look at the 4 quarterbacks competing for the Browns starting job. And Jason Lloyd was one of the privileged media members able to be out there to get a chance to see
You shouldn't say that, Mike.
everything up close in person.
That sets a bad tone.
Well, I mean, he was
As
there.
if it's a privilege to watch the Browns
To watch
practice.
OTAs in May.
Fair enough.
Go ahead. So
Jason was one of
what
the
are your
unlucky
observations?
media
You
members.
was, you was
He was there.
credentialed?
I was credentialed, yes.
Jason, what can you tell us about how the 4 quarterbacks looked yesterday in day 2 of OTAs?
2 things stood out. Joe Flacco is the best quarterback on this roster. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's one day.
couldn't?
It's one day. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I was the one saying Joe's not going to be here.
Yeah.
And I looked at him yesterday, I'm like, yep, he's the best one out there.
That's not a surprise to me.
And Shedeur is very clearly 4th on the depth chart. Very, 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 very clearly 4th on
Yeah.
the depth chart right now. No, he's got plenty of time. That could change.
Yeah.
But he's the only quarterback that didn't get any reps with the starters when they went 11 on 11. And Zach's going to be in like literally 20 minutes. And I kept saying, I can't believe it. And Zach's like, well, he's the 4th quarterback. Like, it's not that shocking. But because of the setup of this camp and because, like, this is an unorthodox, like, all this spring and summer is going to be different. Like, they're running 11 on 11s on 2 fields next to each other. Zach's like, I haven't seen that in 25 years. Because I'm looking at it going, I know I've never seen that, but he's been around this team a lot longer than I have. Zach's like, no, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
They were doing 7 on 7s and 11 on 11s.
Yeah.
And so Shedeur was running with the guys. He's throwing to the guys who aren't going to be here in September.
Yeah.
And so they had the 2 veterans on one field and the 2 rookies on the other. So if you want to talk strictly quarterback, Joe can still spin it, man. Like, it was incredible to watch him before.
He's going to be the starter because I kept saying that's the only thing that wouldn't allow him to be the starter is if his arm is shot a little bit.
It is not.
Well, he's going to be the starter.
And it was funny because he even, like, the thing I really appreciate about Joe is like he's reached this stage of his career where he just didn't give a
Yeah.
he didn't care.
Love it.
Yeah. And like what's he scared of?
Yeah.
Why does he have to censor
He got
himself?
nothing to lose.
He's just honest.
Yeah.
And I love when players get to that point because you can really have some really frank conversations with him.
Yeah.
And Joe was asked yesterday about the whole mentor thing. He gave a great answer to that.
Yeah.
But the other thing that he said that I think kind of slipped is he said, I said I've done this a million times. But the first time I go out there, I still like in the back of my head, I'm like, well, can I still see it? Can I still get it there?
Yeah.
Like at 40, you still have a little bit of that self-doubt. And then to watch him unwind and let go on a couple of them, it's like, no, he can still play. He can still spin it. So, those are the two that stood out to me. Shedeur had a fine day.
7 for 9, 3 touchdowns.
Meaningless.
Don't
Tyvus, you're better than that. You played in the league for crying out loud.
Wait. Because that went so viral yesterday, Jason, will you explain what people were even looking at and why some of those numbers can be misleading, good or bad, for any quarterback?
Misleading. They have zero value.
7 for 9, 3 touchdowns.
Okay, well, they're starting on the 30. It's 7 on 7.
No one's playing defense.
No one's playing defense. I mean, whatever.
There's no hitting.
Hey, he threw it well. Like, Shedeur had a fine day. He threw it well. But, like, to get wrapped up in some of these numbers is stupid.
Who had the worst day?
I would say, from what I saw, and it's hard because, like, everything's going at the same time.
Kenneth Pickett.
Kenny and Dillon were below the other two. I would say that. I would say I thought Joe and Shedeur were better than Kenny and Dillon.
Okay. And that's the two, when they do the pairings.
But
that's the
they
two
have the
that's,
veterans. They have the veterans together and they have the rookies together.
Are they doing the pairing thing that Mary Kay suggested, where it's Joe and Shedeur
I didn't really
on
see
drills
that.
and
Again,
then Kenny and Dillon?
it was one OTA.
Well, you said the veterans were on one field.
The veterans were on,
rookies
but
were on the other.
when they went separate,
Yeah.
and then they would run with all the starters,
Yeah.
and then that's when they ran Joe, Dillon, and Kenny all took reps with the starters,
Right.
and that's where Shedeur didn't get any reps with the starters. That's why I said,
Was Kevin Stefanski asked about that after?
Yeah, I did. I asked
Yeah.
him because he keeps saying, like, don't pay any attention to the order. The order's going to change.
Right.
And I said, well, what about the number of the reps? Like, should we
Yeah.
read anything? Of course, he said, no, not for one day. And,
Yeah.
and that's important to say. Like,
Right.
they have 3 practices this week. Who's to say that Shedeur didn't get reps yesterday with the ones, or that
Right.
he doesn't get them today with the
Well,
we're
we'll
not
see
there?
what Zach said. When is practice? What time is it?
Today?
Yeah.
They practicing today?
We were there yesterday at 11:45.
Oh, okay. So when Zach comes in here, he wouldn't have seen practice already today.
There, it's not open. It's only open
Right.
one day.
Oh, I see.
Yesterday, and so like yesterday's
That's
the only
right.
day that's open to the media.
Yeah.
And then they'll have one day next week, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that's why so much gets blown out of proportion, because it's the only thing that you
Yeah.
see.
Right.
But there's 3 this week and there's 3 next week, and we see 2 of them.
You know, the obsession with the NFL in this country is a great thing for us, but it leads to insanity.
Yes.
Because when you have and kudos to Brad Stainbrook, who's done a nice job making a name for himself as a young guy trying to get into this business. He's done a good job. And I don't know if he kept those stats or this friend of Shedeur kept the stats.
No, ESPN Cleveland kept the
okay.
stats. He then he tweeted it, and then Boog, who came on the show.
Yeah, right, Boog. Yeah.
That was Boog, who came on the show. Was
So
the one
here's
who
the thing. We
commented.
love Boog, and every conversation can't be about, like, this is no knock at Shedeur Sanders. The stats that matter are not those stats. The stats that matter are, does he have the playbook down? Not him, anybody.
Yeah.
Is he seeing the field well? Is he making the right reads? Those are things we don't know on the outside. We're not in the huddle. We don't know what the plays are. The actual statistics of what they do in practice is 100% meaningless. I guess the only argument you make is if the stats are terrible, maybe you could look something into it. But whether the stats are average or good is meaningless. There is no hitting. There is no tackling. There is no threat of being tackled. There was a pass that I saw yesterday where Joe Flacco hits Harold Fannin for a touchdown in a tight window. I don't know if you remember that play.
Yeah.
But and I'm thinking, well, great pass. But then I'm like, wait a second. Joe didn't have to worry about getting hit. Fannin didn't have to worry about getting hit.
Right.
Those DBs were both really close.
Yeah.
In a game, they probably would have dove. They would have hit him.
Yeah.
To read numbers into statistics in a practice is
insanity.
it's just crazy.
Yeah. And to that point, it was
Yeah.
funny because on one play, I don't even know. It's some dude I've never seen before. He's not going to be on the team.
Yeah.
What's
ran
that
into
supposed
Pickett.
to mean?
I'm just saying. I've never seen him before. He ain't going to be on the team.
That's messed up.
But he ran into Pickett.
Oh, he got cut. Then.
He got pulled.
Yeah, he got
He
cut.
got pulled.
He got
can't be
waived.
running into a
He got
quarterback.
waived. I'm gonna tell you that now.
And like to your point,
Yeah.
all he did was like slapped him.
Right.
And Kevin's like, yo, whoa,
Yeah.
come
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
He said, if they're wearing an orange shirt, don't hit them.
Wave
Don't
him.
touch them. Just don't touch them.
That's it.
And then he went back in, I think one play later or
Yeah.
something like that.
And that's for barely touching him,
And
probably.
barely touching him.
Yeah.
Waved.
But it's
If Kenny would have hit his hand on his helmet, wave him. He's done. You think I'm playing? I'm dead serious. One of them undrafted dudes run up in there and he throw that ball and then hit that quarterback,
Yeah.
hit his helmet and his hand messed up. Get him out. Get him out.
What
Send
I
him to the
want to
locker
know
room.
from Zac Jackson is who's, the ball coming out of their hands, who's looking good, who seems to be seeing the field the best. I don't know, whatever you can tell us about that. It has nothing to do with the stats. Tyvis, you've been in a million of these mini camps.
Oh, I just laughed at it.
It's ridiculous,
I
right?
just laughed at it. To me, it's totally funny to me that somebody took the time out to do it. But you know what? I think I seen somebody do it with the Giants too. It's
not a Browns thing. It's an every team
you can only
thing.
get this off on a couple of franchises.
It's for teams that don't have a quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like this is going to be something that's very attractive to social media.
Yes.
People can't see practice, so now they'll say, oh, look at these stats. This is what happened today in practice. So it's just something to talk about.
This would be like
but
trading-
it's day one. Like, it's going to change by probably in 2 days, they're going to start making things change. Next week, they're going to get a little bit closer. Mini camp comes for that little week that they have. They're going to do that. When they come back, fall camp, now you need to tell me something. When they do joint practices, tell me those stats. You give me them joint practices stats, I will lovely take those, and then we can break that down all day long because that is for real. Because it's going up against another team that's calling their actual plays that they're actually going to call in the season. And if they can make those completions happen and make those reads and they're comfortable, hey, obviously the quarterback not going to get sacked, but they're going to get the fear of being sacked for sure. If they can still perform in those joint practices, that's the guys that I want. That's the stats, or the day of the stats that I want to see.
This would be like this is the equivalent. I was just thinking about this. This is the equivalent to charting Lane Thomas's live BP his first day of spring training against Emmanuel Clase. Well, he went 1 for 3 with come on, what are we doing?
It's crazy.
Plus, it's hard to follow everything. It's hard to see everything because, again, you got two fields going at the exact same time, and obviously everybody's watching the quarterbacks, and you got punters and whatever else, and they break down individual positions and everything. But when they're both going, it's hard to see it because there was a play. I saw Mason Graham knock down one of Dillon Gabriel's passes.
Right.
And then Mike
went
showed me
for an interception, right?
No, it was different than that.
It was not an interception. KYC has the reverse angle of it. It hits the ground and 42 then picks it up
so
and
maybe
runs.
that is the same play that I saw.
Scoop it.
It was the same play.
Because
somebody counted it as an interception in the stats.
And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, and Mike shows me this clip. I'm like, well, that's not what I saw.
Yeah.
Like I saw him bat one down, but I didn't see a pick. So I'm like, man, let's not get into the play-by-play of freaking OTAs.
I mean, it's just
on
it's crazy.
UCSS. But it's hard to watch everything that's happening when you're trying to watch. You want to watch this quarterback and they're taking snaps at the same.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna watch? So it's just hard to follow everything.
The problem is that. So Shedeur Sanders' stats were good, right? Mm-hmm. And so everybody in the Sanders camp, I think we should all be in the Sanders camp and all be in the Gabriel camp or whatever, is going to say, oh, you're saying it's not important because you're trying to diminish him. Nobody's trying to diminish any of these guys.
No,
nobody's trying to diminish anybody.
If he really went 7 for 9 and threw 3 touchdowns, that's great for him. I want to see it like Jason just said, like he did it. It wasn't with the ones. Like I want to see,
and it was 7 on 7.
But if he's doing that, then to me, I think the motive for putting these stats out and saying that he had that good of a day is to try to entice Kevin to be like, all right, if he really did that, why isn't he taking snaps with the ones? You gave Dillon snaps with the ones. All right, let's get Shedeur a couple snaps with the ones so I can see if he can do those same things.
Well, who's putting that out?
I'm just saying.
Who's trying to get
I'm just saying, like they're making it to be to the world like Shedeur is tearing it up right now. But Jason Lloyd, who was at practice, said he took no snaps with the ones. So now it's like, well, if he's tearing it up, why hasn't he earned a job with the but again, at least a look with the ones?
You can't be tearing it up. How is he tearing it?
I'm just telling you.
Shorts.
I am telling you what the average viewer that has not been to practice, that haven't seen anything, is going to say. You're going to see those stats and be like, wait a minute, he did. First of all, you're gonna say he did this with the ones or the twos, and then you'll listen to Jason say, no, he didn't even take a snap with the ones.
Right.
So then the next question is, well, if he looked that good, why isn't he taking his snaps with the ones?
I don't even know how you chart those passes.
I don't either.
I truly don't. I don't know how you count because they're going at the same time. So how? I
guess
you got multiple people.
Two people
doing
I
it.
guess, but
it's just also stupid.
ESPN had like 4 guys out there.
We would never, like in the past, you'd never even talk about this stuff because it's just so meaningless. But and listen, people are interested. I get it. You'd rather Shedeur Sanders look good than look crappy.
Of course.
And he's looked pretty good so far. But it is not. We saw DTR look great in the preseason.
DTR tore it up in camp,
which is a lot further along than what you're doing here. This is no indication of success along the way. We don't know yet about. We have nothing on Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. We are nowhere close at all to finding out if they can really play in the NFL, either of them.
I got 2 questions I want to ask Jason, and then we'll bring Zach in here in a sec. But starting with the quarterbacks, Jason, you mentioned that Flacco, you could still rip it.
Yeah.
How did his arm compare to the and just from the eye test to some of the throws you saw from Gabriel and Shedeur? Was it at that level, slightly better, slightly worse? How would you compare that?
I put Joe's above everybody. That's just me.
I mean, how is it going to be better?
Well, if they were ripping
if they had better arms than Joe Flacco, they would have been drafted in the first round.
I was just asking.
Dylan's got a good arm. Dylan's got a good
If
arm.
it was better than Flacco, he would have been drafted in the first. Well, I mean, he's 5'11",
That's
whatever
part
he is.
That's part of his
still.
issue. I mean, whatever. Again, I don't want to break down to the minutia. But the other thing I'll say, though, the one thing I kept saying all winter was, what kind of shape's DeJuan Jones going to be when he shows up? Well, guess what? DeJuan Jones in phenomenal shape. Phenomenal.
That was great. I'm glad that I inspired DeJuan Jones to lose weight.
That's what us Buckeyes do.
How much weight you think he's lost?
I mean, Zach.
We'll ask Zach in a minute.
We were just talking about DeJuan. He looks. How much weight has he lost? I don't know. A person.
Like, could he be down to 350?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That would be huge because he was over 400 pounds.
So he was moving well, and you couldn't even tell he had like the injury.
The fact he was out there was surprising.
Yeah.
He just got his.
So Jed Wills lied to us.
I mean, everybody's different.
I believe.
But I mean, Jed Wills had the longest arthroscopic knee recovery in the history of arthroscopic knee recoveries.
I believe that Zach, in fact, I think, if I remember correctly, tweeted yesterday he's somewhere in between ahead of schedule and on schedule.
For him to be out there was
so
impressive.
He was like in 11-on-11 drills.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of shocking.
He even went in at right tackle for a snap that I saw because something. I think one of the guys jumped, so they pulled him for a snap and they said and he ran in at right tackle.
That's awesome. And man, if he's at 350 and stays healthy,
I mean, I don't know what he weighs, but he looks
well. If he's
trim.
significantly down away from last year and can stay healthy, I mean, he could end up being the best draft pick they've made.
He looked to be in phenomenal shape yesterday.
That's great.
It was really encouraging.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
Last question before we bring Zach in. Jason, I know you've been to a lot of OTAs throughout your career. I'm going to ask Zach the same question, but how different was yesterday with 4 quarterbacks battling 11-on-11s going on at the same time, not being able to focus on certain players because all eyes were on the quarterback battle? How different was your experience at OTAs yesterday compared to years past?
I mean, Zach's been to 1,000 more OTAs than I have, but it was very unique to see them run 2 fields at the same time. I've never seen that before, and Zach can speak to that more than I can. But it was a unique setup. You know why they're doing it? They're trying to get all the quarterbacks enough reps, and Kevin said you can do that when you got 90 guys, and so that may even carry on into the start of training camp. We'll see.
Yeah, all right, let's bring Zach in here now. First, we'll go to Mike for a read.
Yeah, we're going to get Zac Jackson from The Athletic. And after a quick word from Epicor, every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, in practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the all-stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices, from small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global visions. We'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way, because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most out of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at easierwithepicor.com. That is easierwithepicor.com.
Zach, we just talked about DeJuan Jones. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, let's start with that.
I'm about 5 pounds under where DeJuan is, but I'm good.
You are? As DeJuan, do you think he's down to 350 or somewhere in that neck of the woods?
He probably is. Now, I think you have to judge him on a little different scale.
Yeah.
He's a freak. We knew about him. He played at Ohio State, right?
Go Bucks.
Saw him the one day at the Senior Bowl, and he kind of checked himself out after that. But, he was so big and so dominant in that one day. And then the Browns drafted him, and they listed him at 374, and I just laughed because I'm like, I've never seen a guy so what must he have been if they listed him at 374?
Yeah, right.
And when you see
if you're
him,
listed at that,
right? And I've spent my entire adult life around these guys. My version of big is skewed. Right?
Yeah, sure.
But there's Shaq, and then there's the rest of the guys you see in the NBA.
Yeah.
And then there's DeJuan and the rest of the guys you see, with few exceptions.
Sure.
Right? Like when Miles and Clowney used to walk around together, and they would just dwarf the other guys, you'd be like, wow.
Yeah.
But when you watch DeJuan with the other offensive linemen, and yesterday just going out there amid the madness, who's here, who's not, what's going on, you didn't notice him at first. First of all, I didn't really expect him to be out there.
Yeah.
On the first day, but he was in all the 11-on-11s. I don't think he came out once early. He might have because we're trying to watch so much, but that is really encouraging because they were thinking training camp. And that's the thing with him. If he's in it, if he's healthy, he's active, he's been a good player. And he's probably just scratching the surface.
He probably, it seems like he's a first-round talent if he's healthy and in shape.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I think his abnormal size was probably a reason.
Yeah.
And that was tied to why the pre-draft process went the way that it went.
Yeah.
But guys that big don't stay healthy. There just aren't guys that big.
Yeah.
It's when you look at his size and you talk about what he did at the Senior Bowl, the biggest question is, will he be able, if somebody's fast and quick twitchy, can he handle it? Can he bend?
Right.
That's the question. You that big, can you bend and get down to those? And when he does it, it's like, if that's the case, then you found your left tackle of the future. He's the typical size that you want. And if he moves his feet really well, which the basketball background that he has allows him to be able to shift and move like that. That's why, if he's healthy, he's good.
We watched him as a rookie on 20 snaps with the ones go in there. And when he got his hands on TJ Watt didn't get around him.
Yeah.
Right? On the road. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If you didn't notice him when he's first on the field, that tells you all about what kind of shape he's in. All right, let's switch it up, obviously, to the quarterbacks.
Is the number skewed?
The numbers are ridiculous. People reading into numbers.
Those are ridiculous. The chart, but I get it.
Of course,
it's what people want to know.
Yes.
Now, you have to talk about it at all.
Yeah.
You have to roll your eyes, and you have to add context to where they are. Because those throws include some that are on the 3-yard line, some that are on the 5-yard line, some with the ones and 11-on-11, some with 7-on-7s with some guys that have no prayer to make this team.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But, this is what we're charting. This is the competition. They say it's a 4-man competition. It's not. It's 2 guys versus 2 guys. It's the 2 older guys to be the starter.
Yeah.
It's the 2 younger guys to position themselves however it may be and show little improvement every single day, right? So, of all the things I'm watching the first 5 when they break a session, the first 5 with the veterans, with the ones. Who's in there? Where are they going? The ball's going to Jerry Jeudy, right? Flacco's no dummy. He don't last as long as he has, right? He can really whiz it. But as we go on, I want to watch these guys because they probably just got plays installed Tuesday, and they're out there running them Wednesday. Again, with guys that have no prayer to make the team.
Yeah.
And Shedeur's going to have to be so good to earn more reps that he's going to have to continue to deliver. I watch him. He's talented. I hear things. He's handling things well. We'll see. He's 2 days in. He's 2 weeks in. They just 2 Tuesdays ago is the first time they were ever in the building for anything other than rookie minicamp or a visit, which was just hanging out and talking an hour on the whiteboard. So they're just getting used to this.
So beyond the stats, the important thing is everything has been positive so far as could be with Sanders.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes, with all of them, but yes, with him, sure.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
he's going to have to win every single day
Yes.
in the meetings, in the asking questions, in the staying after practice, and all of that, because just to earn more chances, right? And we're going to really judge, and I'm going to be a part of it when we get to the summer and these joint practices, because that's where it's going to be. But to earn those chances, he has to do it now, and I really think the other guy does too, because I don't see the other guy impressing at all. And I'm not trying to be personal with him.
Right,
he
sure.
does not look like an NFL quarterback. And 31 other draft rooms didn't think he was a second-day pick.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to earn those too, because eventually they're going to matter. Right now, we're just talking about them. They don't matter.
It's fair.
That is fair. So after practice yesterday, was Shedeur still staying after practice, still doing the extra stuff?
Not yesterday, but none of them were.
Okay.
So,
They probably sprinted inside to watch
yeah,
tape.
it's a pretty regimented day with OTAs. It's basically a full regular work day, but they cut about 3 hours out. So they probably do have to get in and get to a post-practice meeting. Right.
What did you think of Kenny Pickett?
Looked like Kenny Pickett to me, which is unimpressive. But again,
So you would agree that with Jason that the two best quarterbacks yesterday that had the best day from what you've seen was Joe and Shedeur.
Yeah, we're Allen Iverson. We're not just talking about practice. We're talking about May practice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
standing there with Jason, right, talking about lunch and watching guys throw, right? It's
Zach was
Joe
the first one in to
and
get
Shedeur.
lunch. I want that on the
He's
record.
got his priorities straight.
I was early in the media room,
Yeah.
but he already had the plate in front of him.
Was there a decent spread at the
It was good. It was
NBA
good.
lunch?
It was
Nice one, huh?
Spectacular.
What about
turkey meatloaf, chicken?
Well, hold on.
parm.
We got to
Yeah.
get back to the quarterbacks before we deviate to lunch. Zach, can you finish what you were saying? Do you agree with Jason? It was Joe and then Shedeur as the top two guys?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
All right.
Joe throws the ball. You're like, wow. I mean, he laps the rest of the field.
Yeah.
Just
So-
throwing the ball.
So if the Browns are going to start the quarterback that gives them the best chance to win, is there any doubt that Flacco's the choice, or is it?
To me, no.
Yeah.
Do I know how it's going to go? No.
Yeah.
This is a basic but direct point, Bull. They just have to get it right. If it's anybody but Flacco, I'll be surprised, maybe not stunned, because we're talking about the Browns.
Yeah.
But, they just have to get it right. Europe in week 5 and bye week at week 9, which coincides with the trade deadline and this early schedule. If Flacco's going to play, he's got to deliver. And And if somebody other than Flacco plays and they fail, now we're talking about what is going on here and how sunk is this thing. Because
Right.
I think it's pretty sunk, quite frankly. I just do.
When you look at so everybody was getting the ball to Jerry Judy, but was there any other receivers that stuck out?
There were some guys out there.
Thrash.
They were out there.
That's not great. There were other guys on the field running around.
Really? So the fact that we did the dress wire.
But again, we're talking about one.
Yeah.
We're talking about practice 2
Okay.
of OTAs.
Yeah.
But
What about the little white dude from Kent State? Everybody's excited about
he catches
him.
a lot of balls from the rookies. but
Yeah.
he's a little white dude from Kent State. He's big.
You know, there's got to be a little white wide receiver every year in Browns training camp. that the
He
fans
was
get
a
excited about.
priority recruit of Sean Lewis, who
Yeah.
then went to be Shedeur's offensive coordinator, but got fired after 8 games.
Oh.
And Luke
Yeah.
is a great little story of a local kid making it, and he's
Yeah.
5'6". He just
Is he 5'6"?
I don't know what they list him at.
Oh
but
my
to
God.
me, he's 5'6". And
Short of me.
everybody's going to say you're an idiot. but
Yeah.
I hope he has a great career in Canada.
Hey man,
Is the World League of American Football still around? I don't know. He could be playing for
my
Joe
goodness,
Thomas's
man.
Germany team there.
it's sad to say it like
Yeah.
that.
Do you have any hope for Cedric Tillman becoming at least a legitimate third wide receiver for the Browns?
I do, because we saw it for a few games last
Yeah.
year when we finally saw an NFL offense.
Yeah,
Right?
that's true.
His thing is he's big. That's his thing.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. Right?
Okay.
So he's never going to be super shifty.
Yeah.
But he can play that outside receiver and run those routes, which in this offense and with Joe Flacco a quarterback, there's going to be opportunities for that guy.
Right.
Jason, you were in LA that first game that Flacco played when we didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I remember the safety bites because he thinks there's no way he's throwing that backside post because there's no quarterback, maybe 3 quarterbacks in the league who can even think about getting it there. Joe can do that.
Yeah.
Cedric Tillman can play the outside, play the post, and go chase that one. He
Yeah.
can play. And I think the lack of investment, now we can nitpick a lot of things they've done.
Yeah.
But I think the lack of big-time investment in a receiver is probably, hey, we have Cedric Tillman for 2 more years. We saw it.
Right.
We see progression. He can play.
They did bring in Deontay Johnson, who has had a level of success in the league. obviously he was cut by two very good franchises, which is not a good sign that he's quit on these teams. Where's he at?
Nobody knows.
Why wouldn't he be there yesterday? I mean,
he wasn't
maybe
even
there's
there?
maybe there's
that's
some
what I
reason.
want to know. Why was he
Oh,
not
there's no
there?
excuse for that.
They
Miles
better
Garrett.
come out and tell me that his girl delivered a baby or something.
Right,
like
that's
that.
why.
Like
yeah.
if it's something like that, all right.
That's the only excuse.
Listen, if he's there and he can play a little bit, he is
Yeah.
the starting slot receiver on this team.
Right. He
is.
should be.
He is. Now, what that translates to, I don't
Yeah.
know. And they're still going to dump David Njoku the ball 100 times, as they probably should.
Yeah.
Right? But Deontay Johnson is out there with Judy and Tillman. There's such a break from that tier to the next tier. And that's not knowing what you're going to get from Johnson and Tillman. That's the kind of break there is in that group.
Quinshawn Judkins, I mean, what can you
Go Bucks.
What can we learn about running backs in this? Nothing, right?
No,
I mean,
and
can
Jason
you?
pointed out, like, he's getting reps with the ones, and he was,
Yeah.
but then he's also getting reps with the threes. Judkins looks the part, right? We know that they chose him because his body type fits, his style fits, he's fast. I mean, he killed the workout session. You know, Henderson overtook him last year, but what does that mean? And then obviously in the national title game, when it really counts, Judkins had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's a good player. He's the starting running back on this team. Now, is that in August 15th or October 15th? I don't know, but he is going to get the ball a lot.
That's good.
What about on the defensive side of the ball? You know, with Myles Garrett out, how did them edge rushers look? JTS, I know that was.
JTS was back there. The one play he hit Pickett, and the starting offensive line tried to run off the sideline and kick his ass because you're not supposed to get within 5 feet of the quarterback. So, but again, you're not wearing pads, Tyvus.
They could block.
And think about who the second offensive line is for the Browns right now.
Yeah,
with Conklin and Bitonio not out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So was it Cornelius Lucas at right tackle then, and Zinter at left guard filling in for those two?
Correct. That was Lucas at right tackle, Zinter at left guard. I didn't see Tevin Jenkins in there, so I'm wondering if he has an injury or something like that. He will play. And he's probably the backup plan at left tackle, or one of the backup plans at left tackle. He started games at guard and tackle. He was like a top 30 free agent on some of these lists.
That was crazy. I thought the Bengals were
It's an
gonna sign
injury
him.
thing. Yeah, it's an injury thing. So but the Browns gave him like $2.5 million guaranteed, or a little more than that. So he's going to be on the team. But he's on 1 year deal. All 3 starting interior guys are on a 1 year deal.
Right.
Lucas, I think, is on a 1 year. I mean, he's in his 30s.
Yeah.
And then you've got DeJuan Jones, who's under contract for 2 years and is extension eligible if he can do it. And like this was always supposed to be the year that they were back in the first round. They were either going to be taking their left tackle of the future or their wide receiver number 1. And obviously it's gone haywire. But like if DeJuan Jones can be the left tackle and play 17 games or even 14 games, you have solved a huge problem at a premium position.
Big time.
But we're a long way away from it being solved,
Right.
but you can see the path.
Yeah, I mean he's missed games due to injury. I think for 3 different injuries in 2 years. So
Yes.
Zach made a good, I thought, observation yesterday. We were talking about DeJuan, that he's been here because he's been rehabbing.
Right.
Because I thought, like, well, this is the worst of it now. Like, the scary part with DeJuan is what's he going to do after the season ends until you get him back in the building. And Zach's like, well, he's been around to rehab.
Right.
But I think if he's in this kind of shape in May, I think it's a safe bet that he's not going to show up in July at 400.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to DeJuan, like twice at the Greenbrier, he missed a practice early in camp. And you miss him because he's the biggest guy out there, right?
Right,
and it was like an allergy issue or something, and who cares about July 29th practice,
Sure.
right? But you wonder, like, can he do it? Is his conditioning an issue? Then he was right back out there, and he did it.
Yeah.
But you're always going to wonder. So if he can maintain that weight and that health, like that's a big storyline that we haven't talked about enough. For quarterback reasons, it's easier to talk about skill players.
Right.
But, when you look at the scheme of things here in this draft, and you can nitpick and wonder, I think they got some good players. Nobody knows what the hell's going to happen at quarterback, but they didn't take an offensive lineman, and they got all these guys who don't have contracts. And they got Deshaun Watson's cap number at $80 million for next year.
Are they going to cut him with a June 1st designation next year? Is that the plan?
I'm not sure
probably?
exactly how it's going to work out, but
Yeah.
they're going to have to at least explore a formal split, which will accelerate. But we'll have to see where they are.
Right, yeah.
Because, it just depends. If you have 2 top 10 picks next year,
Yeah.
you're going to let a lot of guys walk. You're probably going to burn down a lot of money as much as you can in 1 year and move forward. If you're in a different place, which isn't totally out of the question,
Sure.
then you're going to have to see how to manage that. So they're not afraid to spend ahead to manipulate the cap. I just don't know what's going to be necessary and what they're going to have to do.
What's your take on, like, the organization? What's best for the organization is to play the young quarterbacks at least at some point to see if there could be legitimate starters, because you got to know, because you're going to have at least one high pick next year. Supposedly the quarterback group is better. On the other hand, every team wants to win. Every coach wants to win at least. Yeah. And Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry could both be on the hot seat coming off a 3-win season. Where do those guys stand? Do you feel like if they go 3-14 again, they're going to get fired, or no?
Well, as soon as you say that, my first thought is the coaches want to win. The coaches want nothing to do with tanking, draft picking, even checking the standings.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Yes.
So that's why I think Flacco's the no-brainer. And the other reason I think Flacco's the no-brainer is I think in camp he's going to bring what they need. He's the guy that's done it before. He's going to get guys in the right place. He's going to get guys in gear. He's run this offense before, too, right? But big picture, Bull, it's all fair to wonder. And I've said, like, the owner shows no desire at all to push these guys out or to panic externally. Yeah. Right? But if Kenny Pickett's out there scoring 13 points a game, then everybody's going to get fired, and they should. Yeah. I don't think that's a leap.
GM trading down from 3 to 5 and picking up an extra 1 is a GM that tells me he's in no danger.
That's right.
He's not feeling any heat whatsoever.
That's right.
Let me ask you about the defense.
Let me say this. Yeah. If we're having this discussion, it's probably a fair discussion. Because we can talk about practice.
Yeah, right.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And if they're 1-3 or 1-5 or whatever seems really realistic, then what are we going to be talking about on October 4th?
Exactly. Switching quarterbacks.
Well, okay, so what about the defense? I mean, do you think that there's a real possibility that they can get back to the level that they were 2 years ago? Because to me, I think that was ultimately what helped them be successful.
Yeah, I think they're going to miss JOK like crazy, right? But I think they realize that Mason Graham is needed now and in the future to hold that down. A Schwartz defense is really good when you have those inside guys, you know, doing what they do. Because they went from a really awesome Dalvin Tomlinson year to a really shaky one. They cut him up. They cut him. He just wasn't healthy, right? Yeah. So, you know, I think Delpit's a solid player. For his pay grade, they probably need him to be a spectacular one. I think Denzel Ward has been awesome. And then Emerson looked like he was going to make $50 million and had a crappy year. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of moving parts there, Tyvis. I think they might have to trade Greg Newsome, and part of that is it's just like, how can you pay a number 3 corner $13 million, right? But, like, there are really good pieces on that defense, and especially if Graham and Schlesinger are ready to play right away. And I think they are, and I think they have to be. So we'll find out.
Is Cam Mitchell still with the 2 nickel?
That's a great question. That's one of those things from yesterday that I'm watching 2 fields of quarterbacks. So that's why I want to get to minicamp and see who's there. Yeah. Ronnie Hickman was out there but not practicing. Alex Wright, who was really coming along, I think, last year before getting hurt, was out there but not practicing. So the good part about that is those guys have been in 2 camps previously, 3 camps, I think, for Wright. Like, let those other guys in and see. You know, history says they're going to play a lot of quarterbacks. Yep. But history says there's also a safety, a linebacker, a running back somewhere that is a lot better than we think and is more in this team's plans than we think. So in the second OTA, we just don't know those answers. We'll watch the quarterbacks and argue about them.
Is there any world where they carry 4 quarterbacks on the 15?
There is. I've thought about this. There is. Yeah. They started to last year. They had some things that they were either exploring or thought would go and didn't. But I think in this situation they would. I mean, you're not paying these guys much. Right. You know, you drafted the 2 and obviously you want to see them through. I mean, really the guy they have the biggest commitment to is Dillon Gabriel when you think about it.
Because he's a round pick.
You know, a bad quarterback gets like 14 or 18 guaranteed, and Pickett and Flacco combined make 7 guaranteed. Yeah. So if they think that they can dangle them later, or they really think they're going to need multiple guys, and given Joe's age, they might. Like, I think it's feasible.
So what's the trickle down to that? Where can you nip and tuck a position to fit 4 quarterbacks?
Well, what they've done is they've brought up linebackers and safeties to play special teams, and they haven't had a returner on this team, right? And they haven't had 6 or 7 receivers because they haven't had 6 or 7 NFL receivers. So they're going to try to bring the fullback back. They're going to try to, you know, they're always going to keep 9 or 10 offensive linemen, especially this year. Yeah. Can't lose a young offensive lineman who could help with the contract situations there. Right. So I think you could trim a receiver. I think you could not keep Pierre Strong. Yep. And I think you could just use the flexibility at the bottom of your roster to ship out a safety, a linebacker, you know, week to week, depending on who you're playing.
Right. And if some other team gets an injury, maybe they get desperate and make a trade, or it might work itself out.
From August 20th to 28th, we get all worked out up about the roster. And then the fact is, of the 15 guys that are on the bubble in some sort, 13 of them play for you. One gets traded away or claimed. One just never makes it, and the rest of the 13 play. Whether they start 10 games or they get called up for 4 games and only play special teams, they play. Yeah, you know, it's 53 plus 16 on the practice squad, plus some guys who inevitably aren't going to be here or on the active roster for some reason. Almost all of the 90 are going to suit up. right? And there's a drop-off on this roster right now, and that's just from
Sure.
the bad drafting and the lack of having the picks that they've had.
Zach, when you look at Joe Flacco versus Kenny Pickett from a fan's perspective, right? If the fans loved Joe Flacco because he made them look like a real offense. You talked about that with Jameis for 2 seconds last year. Obviously, Joe did the same for a little longer last year. So the fans, they believe in Joe Flacco, or at least a percentage of the fan base. Obviously, nobody in our fan base cares or has any support for Kenny Pickett. So from an outside perspective, from a fan perspective, there's probably less pressure on the organization to go to the young quarterbacks if you start Flacco versus Pickett. However, I don't know that the team obviously shouldn't care about that, but sometimes teams are influenced by things like that. Does that play a role at all?
Can I give you a really sad stat before I give you an answer?
Yes, please.
Joe Flacco's in the top 3 in wins in that stadium, even though he only played for the Browns there 3 times. Kenny Pickett's 0-1 in that stadium and lost to Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Forgot about that.
That was the only win of DTR's starting career.
Yeah.
correct?
All right, I'm going home now. See,
Well, isn't Roethlisberger up there on the list?
Roethlisberger was number 1 until Baker passed him.
I mean, the second and third guys have played 0 and 5 games for the Browns.
Right.
Flacco
That's beyond insane.
Flacco was the top 3 before he ever put on a Browns jersey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he won every year.
That's just amazing.
One of his last starts was they lost to Baker, one of his last starts, and they replaced him a couple of weeks later.
Yeah, right.
And then he came around.
Yeah.
I really don't know how it'll go, but I would say that Kenny would have to be really impressive to beat him. And maybe I'm just reading this wrong.
Yeah.
But, I don't think I think it will be who commands the huddle in the locker room.
Right.
From what I saw, Kenny was first in the drill. Joe was first in the first team drill. Then they ran it to 7-on-7, and Kenny was first, and they ran it back, and Kenny, that they completely alternated from what I saw, and we have every reason to believe that'll be the same. And so, in August, and especially when they go to Carolina in August, who's first will matter. But right now, I think it's a 50-50 split, and I really think it's let's evaluate this before we even with the older. I think with the younger guys, if you see a rep bump or a certain opportunity they put them in, that's by design. But I think next Wednesday, if Joe takes 7 snaps throwing to Judy and those guys, and Kenny takes 5, I don't think it's anything other than how it was then.
And you guys know these guys personally, but Batonio and Teller and the Jerry Judy, these veteran guys, they want Flacco to play. There's got to be no doubt about that, right?
You would think that Jerry Judy would want Flacco to play.
And
Judy for sure.
He just raises, if nothing else, Joe Flacco raises the floor of the offense.
Yeah.
The other guys could, but there's no way you could know that.
Of David Njoku's 8 or 10 games in his career, how many of them were with Joe Flacco? Most.
Yes.
How long do you think Joe will last this season?
That's a good question.
That's the thing. I don't have a problem with Joe starting at all. How long before he
it's a great question. And then there's another question on that is what do you expose that guy to in the preseason? Do the other guys need reps at his expense? And do you allow him to go out there and play a half? Probably if he's the starter.
Yeah.
Right? But if there really is an expiration date or a number of hits, it's going to give him problems or his lack of mobility.
Right.
Where is Kenny Pickett certainly better than Joe Flacco? Escaping the rush.
Yeah.
Right? Now, Joe can escape it by just throwing it to the 37th row. But that's probably, to me, the one area. And we don't see – pads don't come on. Quarterbacks don't get hit.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Jay, you guys got
I got one real quick.
Go ahead.
At a rookie minicamp, there was quite a buzz made about Mason Graham throwing up. Zach, did you see him throw up at day 2 of OTAs?
I did not, but Mason Graham is going to be just fine. Yes. He's never going to win the warm-ups. He's going to be just fine. He's going to be a really good player, I think.
Will he be a guy who can get you 8, 9, 10 sacks eventually?
Anybody who does that makes a lot of money from an interior position.
Is it unfair to expect that? The guy was drafted top 5.
Put it this way, I can't wait till they give us Jim Schwartz, because every Jim Schwartz press conference is a football history lesson anyway.
Right.
And I can't wait to see all the guys that he's coached. Why did he speak up for Mason Graham? I can't wait to hear the names that he invokes there.
All right. Zach, the most important question of Browns camp we haven't talked about yet is who's going to win this big long snapper battle. They've moved on from the vet, 2 undrafted free agents. Do you have a favorite?
Well,
is there
speaking
a
of the
betting
fans,
line?
yeah, they want the local guy. Sunahara, he's from Bay Village. So, yeah, the fans are going to want that.
You got to go with him, don't you?
Oh, you got to bow to the fan pressure when it comes to that. Sure.
And before you go, tell us about now the lunch spread that Mike so rudely cut us off about.
Turkey meatloaf, chicken parm.
Chicken parm.
Pasta sides, a salad, nice salad. It was good.
Can we trust?
You talking about the Browns fan, Joe?
Yeah, that's what
They gave you chicken parm.
It's the healthy chicken parm, too, because it's what they're feeding the players.
So that's what happens when you're a media member.
But the Browns, if you'd show up, you need it too.
Yeah.
I'm not a media guy.
Who
It's not always that good, but it was good yesterday.
who
I mean,
was
with the
hitting the
players.
buffet line too much? Was it Darryl Ryder? Was it I don't know who you got there?
I was caught in expense hell yesterday for 3 hours. I was trying to file expenses, and I couldn't pay attention to what was going on with the lunch.
You lose your focus.
All
there.
I saw was Zach was first. That's all I saw.
Okay. Any comment on that? You defend yourself. There's nothing wrong with being first.
We're not running from the truth. Kenny Pickett's going to get people fired, and I was first in the lunch line, okay?
That's why we love Zach. Zach, you're the best. Thank you so much for the insight here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. You can find Zach on Twitter at Actor Jackson, doing stuff on The Athletic. And just a reminder, Zach was the only person who was right on the quarterback situation last summer.
That's true.
He's trying to make it 2 for 2 this summer. So, Zach, we appreciate
Thanks,
you here
Zach.
joining us for a few minutes on the
All
Ultimate
right,
Cleveland
man.
Sports
Good
Show.
stuff. We're going to get to some Guardians a little bit, the Cavs
first,
as well.
Tell us, Bull, about the spread that Menu RX put together for you.
Yeah, so Menu RX, if you want to work with Menu RX they're based in Louisiana, but the guy, Dr. Jake May, who's the head man in charge, he's from Cleveland. He's a huge Browns fan. We talk all the time. And if you want to work on better nutrition, if you want to work on what diet plan or workout plan or eating plan will work for your specific body, everybody's got a different metabolism. Everybody breaks down foods differently. One diet or one eating plan could work better for Tyvis as opposed to Jason or vice versa. So to find out, to be medically tested scientists, doctors that work specifically with you, one-on-one conversations, get a free consultation by going to menu-rx.com today. And if you sign up for any of their plans, you get a 1-year membership to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, absolutely free. That's a $60 value for free. Medical coverage, medical insurance might cover your plan for Menu RX. You could use an FSA or HSA spending account as well. Go to menu-rx.com. That's menu-rx.com.
All right, guys, let's talk a little Guardians for a sec. A big comeback
Just a
win
sec,
against the
and
Dodgers.
then we're out.
All right, we're done. Let's move on. Let's talk some more. No, I'm kidding. The Guardians did have a big win yesterday, avoiding the sweep against L.A. with a comeback win. Angel Martinez with the eventual go-ahead home run. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But during the game, Stephen Kwan left with right wrist inflammation.
Yeah.
And before the game, Lane Thomas was scratched with plantar fasciitis. We haven't got exact updates yet on those two, but, boy, you were telling me before the show, it doesn't seem like either's going to be too serious for the Guardians.
Well, I don't know about Lane Thomas, but the report, Stephen Vogt after the game made a comment saying I can't remember the exact quote, but he basically said, we expect Stephen Kwan to be back in the lineup Friday. The Guardians are off today. They'll start a series with the other LA team, the Angels, even though they don't actually play in LA on Friday. But so that's good news. Now, as Jason, you and I talked about off the air, the Guardians are very cagey when it comes to injuries. Stephen Vogt and this organization doesn't want to reveal anything. So if Stephen Kwan actually ended up on the IL, it wouldn't shock me because you never know. They're usually not very honest when it comes to injuries. But I'll take him at his word for now. He did say that he expects him back on Friday.
A lot of teams play it that way.
Yeah. That's true. Fair enough. Yeah.
It's not just them. There's a lot of teams that try and hide as long as possible how serious things are. But if he says he's going to be back, we'll believe him until he's not.
What about Lane Thomas? What's plantar fasciitis?
That's
a baseball player.
He's had a miserable season. Woo. I would bet he goes back on the IL. Is my guess.
It's tough. Plantar fasciitis is tough.
I had it in both.
Let's go. Put him on the IL. Call up Kafis. Let's go right now.
That right there bring an elephant down. He got to get a lacrosse ball and roll his foot on them or or I put a bottle
Golf ball.
Yeah, put that in there. Put it in the
Golf ball in the
freezer.
Golf ball in the freezer.
Rub your foot on there real. Oh wee.
Yeah.
Nah, it's better to probably just tear it though. They said if you tear the little ligament, they said that's the best thing that you could do for it.
Kirk Barton told me that. He was fighting it, and he said it tore, and it was so painful when it tore, and then it was such relief.
That's what they say. I never tore it. I tried too. I was down there playing hard.
Trying to tear it.
Oh my God.
The pain is
then it
ridiculous.
heals quicker, or just heals?
It heals and it's done.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with the pain no more.
Yeah. I mean, I would guess with that, Lane Thomas will probably end up on the injured list. You don't want to play a man down for a few days.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would imagine that's certainly a possibility.
Could we see a Kafis call up?
You know what's funny about that?
Yeah.
Jeff Passan obviously covers MLB for ESPN. Wrote a story that was posted this morning. I don't know if you saw it.
I have not seen it.
On Roman Anthony and Jack Caglianone.
Yeah.
The
both ready to be called up.
top prospects haven't been called up yet.
Yeah.
Royals and Red Sox fan bases are saying, why aren't you calling these guys up?
Right.
Get them in the lineup, da-da-da-da-da. Sort of what you've been, on a much lower scale, what you've been saying about Kafis.
Yeah.
And JJ Piccolo, I think it was Piccolo, the Royals GM, said, you're trying to do right by the player, and you can't really look at the team and say, well, there's a hole here.
That's correct.
You got to get him up. If the guys, you got to go on the player's timeline, not so much the team's timeline.
That's correct.
Now I think that's for a top prospect, but someone who's a little bit more middling like Kafis, I don't know.
I guess he's higher than middling. He's not top.
He's middling.
I think he's between top and middling. There's got to be a level between top and middling.
In no world is CJ Kafis a top prospect.
But I didn't say that. I said there's a
He's
level.
middling.
I said there's a level between top and middling.
There's top and bottom and middle. He's in the middle.
I don't agree with that. I have another level, whatever you want to call it.
Do you have upper middle?
I have upper middle.
Upper
He's
middle
upper
class?
middle. Yeah, I want him. He's on the upper middle.
Is he in the upper side of the upper middle? Is he in
Well,
the middle side of the upper
the
middle? Is he on the lower side of the upper middle?
The
my
excuse
gosh.
they'll use on Caglianone is that he's striking out at a somewhat high clip.
Is chase rate.
Yeah, fine, okay, but ultimately, you want to get. You can't get better until you face the best players, well, that's not completely true, but you can't reach the level you want to be and it's okay if you struggle. Matt Shaw, Cubs' best prospect, he started the season in the big leagues. He struggled, went back to the minors for 3 weeks. He's come back and he's been great.
I almost feel like you have to. You got to get that out of the way.
Yes,
Because we saw it with Manzardo. We saw it with Jackson Holliday in Baltimore.
Yes,
You know they're probably going to struggle.
Yeah.
So just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Get them their 2 weeks where they strike out 10 or 12 times. Set them back down so then they can mentally adjust to what they've seen.
That's right.
And then you can bring them back up. But it just feels like you're delaying the clock on that process. Yeah,
Right.
they're probably going to struggle the first time. Kobe Mayo with the Orioles has been horrible now twice.
Yes.
Doesn't mean he's not going to have a great career, but he's been terrible in 2 short stints now.
Right, yeah.
But you got to go through that.
that's right.
So when you look at, and so now I'll bring it back around to the Guardians, a guy like Kafis and a guy like DeLauder. I know they want to get DeLauder up here. And I told you guys before, the plan before he got hurt in spring training was, hey, give him 30 games of being able to play every day because he's never experienced that. He can't stay healthy long enough to play every day. What's that like? What's it like to go 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts and then mentally have to come back the next day and do it again and then do it again and then do it again and then do it again? So if he can string together a couple of weeks where he's healthy and he's playing moderately well, I think Chase DeLauder will be up here. I have no idea with Kafis. I don't know what the
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what at this point.
And maybe it's tomorrow.
Yeah, and listen, Nolan
Maybe
Jones. I
Lane's
know
up-
Nolan Jones had a good game after he came in for Kwan, but he's done nothing.
Right.
You've got holes all over the lineup. I'll be curious to see, and I know they hadn't as of 2 days ago. I don't know what he's done the last couple of days. I was curious if they were going to play Chase DeLauder in center field down in the minors to see, especially with Lane Thomas's injury right now.
Right.
I would call up Kafis, let him play right field. I'd play Chase DeLauder in center field. He has played in the minors in center field before, not a ton, but just like they've moved Kafis to right field here to try to give him an opportunity to have a spot. That's the only reason they moved him to right field.
Right.
Is because you want to call him up.
And that's what the Royals do with Caglianone. They moved him to right field.
Right.
They're in the exact same spot that the Guardians are with
Yeah.
terrible production from their outfield. And
Yes.
they're trying to create a spot for their guy.
As for the game yesterday, it was a great win because you don't want to get swept, even. And again, I went on my soapbox yesterday. This idea that the Guardians can't compete with the Dodgers and the Yankees. I don't believe that. I think that's nonsense that people say when they lose a series to these teams. But it was a great win yesterday. Clase's velocity back up a little, but it's still not exactly where you want to see it. He was throwing like 98.5, 99 yesterday. You want it a little harder than that. So I'm still a little concerned in terms of his velocity.
Let me ask you this. At this point, you said we're at the 1/3 mark?
Just past the 1/3 mark, yeah.
After 1/3, what do you think is the ceiling for this team? This Guardians team.
In terms of what?
What do you mean? Could they
like how far
could they win the World Series?
Yes.
Yes.
How far do you anticipate?
I think the Guardians could win the World Series. Would I pick them to win the World Series? No. Do they have a roster that if enough goes well, they could win the World Series? Yes.
Okay.
As unlike, I don't know if he's going to believe that, and they probably won't win the World Series, but there's other teams I look at, I'm like, they can't win the World Series. The Guardians, if you say if you say we're going to the playoffs with Bybee, Williams, and Bieber as my top 3 starters, and one of the best, if not the best bullpen in the league, I got a shot. Now, what is the lineup going to be good enough to beat the Yankees or the Dodgers? Probably not. But with that pitching staff, I'd give them a chance.
Is the biggest threats in the AL the Yankees in Detroit? Seattle?
I guess.
I still have a hard time calling Detroit a threat.
You
I know they got the
believe
best
it.
record. I know they're playing great. I still have a hard time looking at that team and saying they're the favorites.
I don't see the best teams in baseball are in the National League. That's it. All right, and I know the Yankees are playing great, and the Tigers are playing great. I look at the Yankees roster, and I just don't think their roster is great. I think it's good, and Aaron Judge is sensational. I think the rest of their lineup is okay.
I wouldn't sleep on the Astros just yet. They're not terrible. They've been playing okay.
They've got major pitching problems.
Yeah, but
Blanco's out for the year.
Arrigetti's coming back. They'll make a trade. Alvarez has been awful. He hadn't even been healthy.
What's the Brown dude?
Hunter Brown's been great, but that's it. Framber Valdez hasn't been great this year. Blanco's out for the year. McCullers did have a ton of strikeouts yesterday, so he hasn't pitched in 2 years. We'll see.
I wouldn't pick him. I'm just saying
I'm not writing them off.
I wouldn't write him off.
No, but I mean, is their roster that much better than the Guardians? I just don't see it, top to bottom.
I'd like their lineup a whole lot better.
Of course, I could say that about a lot of teams, but I'd take the Guardians pitching.
I like the Guardians pitching
better than most other teams.
Yeah,
so
I mean, Cleveland would not be my number 1,
of course not,
or my number 2, and probably not my number 3.
No,
the Americans to win the World Series.
Bieber pitched, right?
He's Saturday.
He didn't. I thought he pitched on
Saturday.
He's pitching.
Saturday in Arizona.
Yeah. That's going to be his first time.
And Tristan actually pitches Friday in Arizona.
Yeah.
That's kind of gone on.
David Fry's played 2 games in the minors. I don't know where he's been. Is he playing in Columbus? I don't know where it's been, but he
was in Columbus yesterday.
Yeah, so he's played 2 games in Columbus. We could see him in a week.
Maybe. Yeah.
But then that messes up the lineup.
You can't mess it up worse than it already is.
Messes up the lineup. They stink the lineup.
Okay. I still need to know what's going to happen with the first base.
David Fry is going to DH against lefties.
Okay.
And some of and those at bats lost will be Santana and some from Manzardo. I don't think Manzardo's.
You was on the cut Santana train.
I'm still on the cut Santana train, but I don't think they're going to do it.
Probably not.
He's been better in May.
I don't think you can take at bats away from Kyle Manzardo. He's got to be in the lineup.
They've been sitting him against lefties, even though he was.
I mean, if you want to sit him against Tarek Skubal, okay, fine.
Yeah, right.
But
sure.
for the most part, he needs to be in there against lefties.
Yeah, but he sat yesterday against Clayton Kershaw, which the name is sexy, but Clayton Kershaw's not the pitcher he was.
He's not the same guy.
So I don't like that, but yeah, I mean, I would essentially platoon. I would have against lefties Manzardo at first, Fry at DH. Against righties, if you're going to keep Santana at first, and I'd actually play Manzardo at first all the time.
So let me ask you this, because y'all say that the lineup is terrible.
Yeah.
Given what you know about the guys in the minors and the guys that's in the majors, if you could put together a lineup with 9, who would you put in the lineup?
I mean, in a perfect world. I'd have DeLauder in center.
Okay.
I'd have Kafis in right, Kwan in left. I'd have Manzardo at first. By the end of the year, I'd have Bazana at second. I'd have, shortstop.
Yeah. You say it.
I
can say it.
I think Rookie will get another chance.
Wow.
I don't know.
I think he'll get another chance.
Look,
Arias isn't running away with this thing.
No,
No,
shortstop
he's
and
not.
catcher, you got nothing. Maybe and I guess and the DH would be
David Fry.
maybe David Fry and with Angel Martinez in the mix a little bit. As my first guy, utility guy.
Mm-hmm.
If that was in a perfect world, let's say in September,
I mean, you're calling a perfect world. Two of those guys have never taken a major league at bat.
3.
Oh, 3. I
The
forgot
Lauder,
about
Bazana,
I
and
don't think Bazana is realistic.
Probably not, but I'm saying in September, in a perfect world.
September, if you was putting together your
Yeah.
hitting lineup,
Yeah.
who would you
So you're
want?
Well, I'd make a trade for a shortstop. That's what I do, or a catcher.
I'm talking about just currently guys that's currently on this roster right
Yeah. That's it. That would be it, I guess.
now. Okay.
I think Lane Thomas is still a center fielder when he's healthy. I just think you can't count on guys who've never taken a major league at
Of
bat.
course we can't. No, I mean, I don't disagree.
But you want to see them. Like,
in
you
a
wanna see
perfect
'em.
world, I mean, the upside.
So who is out of the 3 minor leaguers that he named? Who
Yeah.
would you not? Bazana,
I don't think
he
he
just doesn't think Bazana's
I
gonna
don't
be-
think Bazana's
Oh,
he
okay.
might
I
not.
got
He
you.
might not.
because
Probably,
of the
yeah.
injury. I don't think you're going
I
to
wouldn't bet on Bazana being on the team this year.
I
I'm
would-
saying it. He asked me in a perfect world. So
I
I
don't
said,
think you're going to see Bazana till May next year.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably true.
But
Probably true.
we definitely should at some point see DeLauder and Keifer.
Yeah, soon.
I think Cavis should be up today.
And maybe
tomorrow,
maybe
whatever.
he is. If Lane Thomas goes on the DL, maybe
Yeah.
that's the move. DeLauder, I think you could see DeLauder. What's today? End of May. I think you can see DeLauder here within 2 or 3 weeks.
And Martinez plays second base.
Martinez can play second. You can play center.
Mike? Can you look up Columbus's starting lineup yesterday and see what
Yeah, what's
position DeLauder played? Because I'm curious if they're going to try him in center. Especially, I'll be watching that today and tomorrow with Thomas getting hurt
I mean,
again.
it's probably not that much more of a risk, but the
Yeah.
wear and tear of being in
He
center.
was in
you're-
right field.
Yeah,
And
you're
Keifer
already
was at
dealing with a
first.
guy who can't stay healthy, who's really struggled with
Keifer is a
injuries, and now you want to
first
throw him into.
baseman,
So
too.
you
center
know what?
field.
So then you want to call him. So bring up Keifer. Let's see how he does for a few weeks. If he does great, and you want to call up DeLauder, then cut Santana, make Keifer the DH, put DeLauder in right field, and let's go.
I mean, it's
cut
a risk.
Santana, make who the DH?
Keifer.
What's a risk? What's risky in what I'm saying there?
Well,
If Keifer hits for 2 weeks, now suddenly you think he's going to be good for the rest of the year? Because
I
look
mean,
at
it's risky cutting Santana. What's he going to do the second half of the year? You'll still have David Fry in the mix.
I'm not a big Carlos Santana guy,
Yeah.
but he's at least moderately steady.
Okay, but
Keifer could
He
fall
is
apart
tied
at any
for
moment.
second on the team in RBI. He actually tied for first on the team in RBI.
Yes.
yeah, I just don't care. 27 RBI. That you say that as if that's an accomplishment, Mike. 27 RBIs at this point of the season is not a good
Somebody
number.
has to be first. And
But
that
yeah.
is-
I mean, that OPS isn't terrible. It's not great. It's not
It's
elite.
below average.
But it's right around.
And he's
average.
old.
It's right around it. But I'm saying
Yeah.
he's steady. It's at least you know what you're
Okay,
getting.
but I'm saying if you did that in theory, and then you went with a Keifer Fry platoon as your DH.
I think Fry would be a little bit more of a backup
Yeah.
in terms of a backup plan. In terms of you would hope that he could at least be steady.
Santana is serviceable.
Yes, that's
But
a
I
good word.
need some guys with upside, Jason, and there's no upside on Carlos Santana. We
I
need some
don't
guys with
disagree.
upside to play.
I don't
Keifer
disagree.
deserves an opportunity. I think
Yeah.
they should call him up. They're not going to call up DeLauder just yet because he just got off the injured list. Although you could argue, and maybe you said this, I can't remember, but DeLauder gets hurt all the time. Maybe they should just call him up before he gets hurt
healthy.
again. So it'll be interesting to see. But good win yesterday. You got a 3-game set with the Angels, and the Angels stink, so hopefully they can take advantage of that. Then they go to the Bronx. They just faced the Dodgers. Now you face the Yankees, and you're going to have to face Max Fried, who's
It's
been
in the Bronx.
Yes, Max Fried's been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year, and Carlos Rodon has had a huge bounce-back season
Phenomenal.
at 10 strikeouts 2 nights ago. He'll pitch against the Guardians as well. You will miss the Angels' only good pitcher, Yusei Kikuchi, who pitched yesterday, so you miss him. And then, but they're playing outside of the Angels. You're playing all pretty good teams.
I mean, we talk.
We got to get our lick back on Cincinnati. I'm tired of the people in Columbus that I work with. No, we swept you. We swept you. I'm sick of that.
But we talked last week about what a grind this is going to be.
Yeah.
4 of the Tigers, and then 3 of the Dodgers, and then the Yankees in there.
Yeah.
Hey man, you go 4-3 against the 2 best teams in the best team in the American League, the best team in the National League. You take it and run with it.
That was great.
They're still
Yeah, good week.
6 games back. They're still right there. My fear
Yeah.
was you can't come out of this and you're 12 games, 13
Right.
games out in the division, and now you're strictly
Right.
a wild card team.
Right.
That's not the case. They've hung in there.
And they are a wild card team right now. But
Right now, yeah. But
Right.
but the division is very much within reach.
Where is
Detroit's coming back.
Where is Miles Straw?
To Toronto.
Toronto bench.
I have one more baseball question, then we'll
Yeah.
move on. We always talk about it's too early to look at the stats. It doesn't matter until X date. Jason, I believe you said the end of May is when you start paying attention to
Memorial Day
numbers,
weekend.
standings, all that.
Yeah.
Are we at that point where now this stuff really counts?
Yeah, I think now you can start to draw conclusions on what guys are, who they're going to be this year.
Yeah.
Memorial Day for me is just sort of the measure, like things start to stabilize and normalize around Memorial Day. If you're hitting 210 on June 1st, you're probably, although most major leaguers are hitting 210 now, but if you're not having a good year by June 1st,
Yeah.
chances are you're probably not going to have a very good year.
So they got to make a decision on
Yeah.
Gabby.
Are you bringing that up in reference to any player specific or any team specifically?
No, it was more just asking in general because I looked up
Yeah.
because you're right. I know 27, 28 RBI is not very impressive. Santana and Manzardo are tied for the team lead in RBIs. Do you know where that ranks overall in Major League Baseball? How many players?
Have more than 27 ribbies?
Yes.
I would say 14.
Oh,
More
my
than
God.
that.
Way more, like 50 maybe.
Really?
I was going to say 35 or 40.
50. I'll say 50.
So Santana and Manzardo, who lead the Guardians, are tied for 64th in baseball.
I was even, yeah.
Oh, wow.
13.
I was trying to be generous.
No.
I should have got
13th
said
most
something
RBI.
crazy.
The guy who has the 13th most RBIs, Tyvis, is Geraldo Perdomo of the Arizona Diamondbacks, who has 39 RBIs.
Yeah. I think the Cubs have 3 players with 50, don't they?
No, only 3 players in the entire league have 50.
But 2 of them are Cubs.
2 of them are Cubs.
Yeah.
And then Rafael Devers is the 3rd.
Oh, okay.
How many does Judge have? Judge that name? 50?
47, right below. He's 4th.
Seiya Suzuki and Pete Crow Armstrong, top 3 in ribbies.
How's
I
your
don't think
boy?
most people had that.
How's your boy for the Dodgers been pitching this year? Sasaki.
He's hurt.
He got hurt. Oh
Yeah.
well, we.
He
died.
hasn't pitched very well.
That's the
I mean,
guy.
he's been
you,
okay,
The
but
guy
he's been-
that you stood on the table for.
Yeah. Guardians should have. They had no chance to sign him. He wanted to play for the Dodgers, so it didn't matter. All right. I stood on the table for Gleyber Torres, and he's having a heck of a season with the Tigers. Will be a great fit in this Guardians lineup. But the Guardians instead signed Paul Sewald. Great choice.
All right, we're going to move on to our next topic here, guys. Our next topic is brought to us by Buckeye State Credit Union. If you haven't heard of them yet, meet your new favorite financial partner. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local institution offering everything from checking accounts to home equity lines of credit and auto loans with some of the lowest rates in Northeast Ohio. Their branch is in Shaker Heights, which is one of 5 locations across the state, making it easy to find one near you. And even if you can't get to a branch, no problem. They make banking simple through digital banking. What sets them apart? Well, they make banking personal and convenient. At Buckeye, their focus is you. Their core values: connect, simplify, and adapt guide everything they do. They bring people together, cut through the clutter, and are innovative. To learn more, visit buckeyecu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union, your money simplified. So, guys, I passed out the whiteboards because we're going to do a little trivia real quick. I'm going to give you the headline, and you're going to fill in the headline. These are real, legitimate headlines from recent times. It's 4 of them, so you're going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, then we'll reveal them all at the end. So I'm going to give you 4 headlines you have to fill in the blanks on, and then I'll reveal what the actual headlines are. So the first headline is, quote, blank is a star, but can he be the best player on a title team? Bull, write down on your board who you think the blank is. The top
So
is...
we're guessing you made the...
No. These are real, legitimate headlines. I'll reveal who they're from, what organization, like
Oh,
Yahoo.
so it's not just the Cavs.
This could be anyone.
Sorry, I
I'm
was
just saying,
confused.
these are relatively
is-
recent headlines.
This ain't Cleveland related.
It could be.
It may not be.
This is a recent headline written somewhere in the country.
On a national,
About an NBA
national
player.
platform. Yes.
Is a star, but can he be the best player on the title team?
And we'll reveal them all at the end. So we're going to put all 4 on the board at once. So make sure you got room for all 4
Oh.
answers.
Okay. All right. Okay. How you guys got your answers?
Yeah.
All right, don't show anybody. Just keep it close to the chest.
Okay.
Second headline, Steve. Are the blank tough enough inside to rebound and defend against the league's top contenders?
Blank. Tough enough inside. Are these all headlines this season, or could they be from the past?
Well, in the last year. That's last year.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
We all good?
You guys have your answer, or not yet?
I can only see Bull, so you have to
Yeah.
let me know when they're good.
I guess.
All right, give him another minute.
Ty, you good?
Yeah.
All right, third one. There's only 4 of these, don't worry. Blank has proven it in the regular season, but can he really be a number 2 on a team that wins it all? Who is this headline about? Blank has proven it in the regular season, but can he really be the number 2 on a team that wins it all?
Okay. No.
And last but not least,
Okay.
the final headline. After another upset loss in round 2, is it time to have serious conversations about the blank's core?
Trick question right there.
I'll read it one more time. After another upset loss in round 2, is it time to have some serious conversations about the blank's core?
All right.
We have all 4 answers.
I do. You guys?
Jason, do you have all 4 answers?
Yeah.
Tyvis, do you have all 4
I
answers?
mean, not necessarily. I'm on the last one. I mean, I guess okay, go ahead, yeah.
So, Bull, what'd you put for number 1?
I put Donovan Mitchell.
Tyvis, what'd you put for number 1?
Donovan Mitchell.
Steve, let's see the reveal on number 1.
Well, you didn't ask Jason.
Me and Jason talked about this last night. I know Jason knows the answers. Steve,
What?
this from Yahoo. SGA is a star,
Ah.
but can he be the best player on a title team? Bull, what'd you put for number 2?
I put the Thunder.
Tyvis, what'd you put for number 2?
I'll put the cat.
Steve, let me see the reveal to number 2, please. Are the Thunder tough enough inside to rebound and
Got
defend
that
against the
one.
league's top contenders?
Why did you make Jason write them down if he knew the answers?
I didn't want to know. I wanted to let you know the answers.
Okay.
Number 3, Bull, what'd you put for your answer to number 3?
Pascal Siakam.
Tyvis? Did you put Evan Mobley?
I did put Evan Mobley.
The answer, Steve, Jalen Williams has proven in the regular season, but can he really be a number 2 on a team that wins it all? And last but not least, Bull, what'd you put for number 4?
I put the Rockets, but I'm guessing it's the Thunder now. They've all had
Tyvis,
a
what'd you
Thunder.
put for number
I put
4?
the Cavs, but I'm guessing it's the Thunder too.
So Tyvis is exactly, and you're right, it is the Thunder. Steve, you want to reveal the final?
What is the your point of this exercise
Is
now?
that they all had the similar questions that the Cavs had?
Yeah, but they've disproved them.
So my point is,
And they've been doing it for less years than the Cavs.
my point is
Yeah.
with this, and I'm not making a sweeping judgment. I just wanted to point out some.
It is
similar
very
criticisms.
revealing. If you look at that stuff,
Yeah.
it's exactly what everyone's saying about the Cavs right now after the Thunder lost in the second round last year.
I know, but the Cavs have been together longer than the Thunder have they not?
I mean,
3 years, 3 years.
yeah. I mean, they came in
So
about
the-
the same time.
But asking those questions as if,
Those weren't questions. Those were headlines.
but
Those were
ask,
headlines.
but the way you're portraying this is if, oh, we're all being unfair because they were asking that about the Thunder. Well, the Thunder disproved those before the Cavs did.
How?
Or- what do you mean?
How they last year? That's what everyone was asking about.
All
the
those
Thunder
headlines were
last
from
year.
last May.
After
Right.
Oklahoma City lost in the second round last year, all
Right.
of those headlines came out.
Yeah.
and now they're going to the NBA Finals.
Right.
After making one tweak, and it was like you got to point that out.
Yeah.
they traded Josh Giddey and they got Alex Caruso, and it was a great
That was
trade.
a huge move.
and that put them over the top. But
And-
they kept.
but-
But the nucleus of the rest of that team. they kept
Okay,
intact.
but the nucleus hadn't been together as long as this nucleus has.
Did you
right?
see it?
3 years, 3 years.
Was
I
your
looked at
point
it.
that we shouldn't be
I
calling for the
get
new
it.
No, that's not
Yeah.
my point. My point is, and Steve, you want to take 361.
Well, it feels
whenever
like
you
you're trying
get
to
a chance.
vindicate the Cavs.
No. I'm not trying
Yeah.
to vindicate the Cavs. I point that out because
Yeah.
we got an article from Chris Fedor yesterday. And Steve, whenever you're ready at 361.
I saw this.
Chris Fedor put this out. Quote, I think the two untouchables are Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley. I have been getting the sense that the Cavs would be more willing to entertain and at least consider possibilities for Jarrett Allen and Darius Garland than they have in the past. The Thunder last year, after being the 1 seed in the West and getting upset by a 4 seed, similar to what happened with Cleveland this year, made the Giddey for Caruso swap. Not a major trade,
Yeah.
but Giddey was a lottery pick. He was part of their core. They shipped him off for a guy with a little less talent, a better fit, and a different mentality.
Yeah.
Now, we have talked at length, Bull,
Yeah.
at how the Cavs probably need to shake something up. Whether
Yes.
it'll happen or not will be remains to be seen. But with Chris Fedor putting out that at least he's hearing that the Cavs may be more open
Right.
to making one of those trades, I wanted to draw the parallel between what happened with OKC, them trading a piece of the core off, now reaching the NBA Finals where they're the presumed favorites against either Indiana or New York, and how the Cavs now have to pivot and find their version of the Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso trade. I was just showing you the comparison and the parallel.
It is.
One thing or 1 year can change a big perception of a team.
So you're insinuating that they trade Darius for Jalen Suggs.
No.
That's not what I'm insinuating.
What about that
everybody's
trade?
saying.
There was somebody that sent us a tweet from somebody that covers the Timberwolves who suggested Darius Garland for Jaden McDaniels in the 17th pick in the draft.
I like Jaden McDaniels a lot.
I do too.
I do.
Would you make that trade? 'Cause
Not
I would.
I would.
Now you need to get a playmaker in another move.
That's
I would 100% make that trade. Jason, would you make that trade? Darius Garland has to be off the roster. I'm telling you right now, Mike, it will be a detriment to my job. If Darius Garland's on this team, if Jarrett Allen's on the team, I'm not watching a single game in the regular season. Not watching a game. I'm boycotting.
I like Jaden McDaniels.
Pretty sure he
too.
said that last year.
But
No, he
said
said
that.
that's true.
no. What he
That's
said.
true.
He did say that last
What
year.
he said was if the Cavs make no changes,
Yes.
he was not watching.
And that's what I said. And then they won. And I wasn't watching.
And
the
they
beginning of the year.
trade- they
And then
changed
they
the
won
coach.
15 in a row. And I was like, oh, okay, this is fun. But even if they win 15 in a row again next year, I'm going to know it doesn't matter. So I'm not going to watch. Have to make change. I cannot see Darius Garland in the Cavs uniform ever again. I'm going to vomit all over myself if that happens.
I like Jaden McDaniels.
That's a little
I
extreme.
don't know.
That's
man.
how I feel. It's not extreme for me.
My issue with it is.
Yeah.
My issue with the Darius Garland trade is.
Yeah.
I don't know what he is in the playoffs.
Who?
Darius. Like I don't know what he is.
I know he's hurt. I
See,
don't want him
and
anymore.
That's the problem.
What do you mean you don't know what he is?
Like I need to see him at 100%.
he doesn't answer the bell. That's what he is.
But I need to see. But I feel like he will. Like in the Miami
Nah,
series,
you
was
know
he
he's-
not good before he
I
dealt
don't.
with
I
the toe?
completely discount that series. Miami Heat not a legitimate playoff team.
Well, he was injured in the other one, so
Well, I don't. No, he wasn't. He played. He was on the court. He should have been on the court. He shouldn't have missed 2 games in a row.
You
Let's
clearly
go.
see that. he
Let's go.
was-
His former NBA. I think we now all have the right to rip the players for not playing because Richard Jefferson and Channing Frye and who else?
Kendrick Perkins.
And Perk. Perk's a little wackadoodle, but the other two are normal human beings, and they ripped him ripped all of them for not playing. So if former players are going to rip him, I think we have every right to do so because of that.
I just can't.
How many years are we going to wait for Darius to be healthy in the playoffs?
I was very surprised Darius did not play in Game 2. I was shocked.
I
said
know.
that at the time.
I
said at
remember
the
you
time.
texting Mike and I saying he's going to play game 2.
I was shocked that he
was
didn't
certain.
play.
He dropped. What did he have in Game 3?
24 and 6 or something like
He
that.
definitely could have played in Game 2.
I mean,
But like
I don't
that's
remember
what.
the exact numbers.
But like that's what I'm
Jaden
saying. Like
McDaniels, on the other hand,
No.
raised his game in the postseason this year, did he not? He had better numbers in the postseason than he did in the regular season, I believe.
In the postseason, he averaged 14 points and 5 rebounds. In the regular season, he averaged 13 points and 5 rebounds.
Okay, so he raised his game a little
Slightly.
bit. He's an excellent defender, is he not?
Very good defender. He's not a shot creator. So the one downside if you make that move, Bull, he fixes one issue, but you lose a significant portion of your shot creation. I think it had to be a move in conjunction with
Yeah,
another
you
move
got to
to
trade
get someone
Jarrett Allen for a playmaker.
You need to get another legitimate.
Who's the team?
Who's
The
doing
Lakers.
that?
Who could you trade Jarrett Allen for the Lakers to combine that with the Jaden McDaniels deal?
If they give you Austin Reeves,
Would they do that?
I don't know.
I don't
Depends
know
how
if
much
they
they
would do
love
that.
Austin Reeves.
I don't know.
What if you traded him, Jarrett Allen, the 17th pick?
It depends on how much they love Austin Reeves.
17th pick, I don't think is.
No value? I mean, little value.
I mean, it's got value. But
Three-team trade. Cavs get McDaniels and Reeves. Lakers get Jarrett Allen in the 17th pick and the Cavs 2031 pick. And then the T-Wolves get Darius Garland. What do we think of that?
I think my head hurts from trying to figure out if that would
It's
work.
not
with the
that
Cavs.
complicated. Let's get it together.
Does that make you better? Like, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know.
We
Wait,
won't-
what the Cavs?
we won't know till
the
they play.
Cavs get AR and who?
Reeves and
McDaniels.
Jaden McDaniels.
Jaden McDaniels.
So your lineup will be Austin Reeves, Derek Donovan, Jaden McDaniels, Evan.
And Hunter.
Okay.
I can't get behind this because I've never been a proponent of breaking up the backcourt. It's Jarrett that has to go.
I said the same.
As far as I'm concerned, if one has to go,
Yeah.
If you're adamant that you got to break this up and somebody has to go, to me it's Jarrett. It's not the backcourt. And I know they're small.
Yeah.
And by the way, I've had NBA people tell me you're nuts. No, they should break up the backcourt.
Yeah.
Because of how small they are. And this was back even before they lost, saying like they're really going to struggle with
Yeah.
Boston. Boston, they're going to have a hard time guarding Boston in the series because of how small they are in the backcourt.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's an issue of Darius and Donovan being able to play together.
But
And
it's
Darius
about
did,
the size, no?
Darius
And his
did-
health.
Darius did again. I was shocked. I was a little disappointed that he didn't
Yeah.
play in Game 2. But I'm not going to, because I'm shocked and disappointed he didn't play in Game 2. I don't want to swing all the way the other way and say, well, now he's got to go. Now you got to trade him because he is a very good player.
So Bull, you only could get rid of one. Which one is it?
I would get rid of Jarrett Allen if I could only get rid of one, but I'd rather get rid of both.
I just think it's
That's
easier.
just, but that's like really breaking.
The
down
Cavs
the
need
thing.
to. The Cavs also need to make a move to lengthen their playable players. They don't have. The Cavs can't win as is because they don't have enough. Look at Indiana and Oklahoma City. How many playoff caliber players those teams have?
You got a lot.
Cavs don't have that number. We
don't
overrated
agree.
their bench. I don't know what. Ty Jerome. You and I were talking about this yesterday off the air. Ty Jerome was the story of the year for the Cavs. Nobody gives a rat's ass what Ty Jerome does in the regular season next year. You got to bring him back. You explained to me. It's a good point. You got to bring him back because you either bring him back. You can't sign somebody else instead of him. So of course they're going to bring him back because he cost himself free agent money probably the way he played in that last series. But no matter how good Ty Jerome is, are we going to trust him in going into the playoffs next year?
Well, let me ask this. Paul.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm not saying this definitively. I'm just drawing
Yeah.
parallels. Last year in the playoffs, Jalen Williams was terrible for the Thunder. He's been very good this year for them. Aaron
Yeah.
Wiggins was horrific in the playoffs for them. Has been very good. Kaysen Wallace shot 19% from the floor in the playoffs. Been one of their best playoff players this year. Chet Holmgren's numbers were down.
What year? Mike. What year in the playoffs was this for those guys?
Last year.
No,
do you
like
mean?
in their career.
In
How
their
many
careers,
times? have
what
they
year
been
in the playoffs for those guys?
I could tell you.
Yeah.
Shea. It's going to take. I click at the same time.
Go ahead.
That was Gilgeous Alexander's third playoff experience.
Yeah.
That was Jalen Williams, Lou Dort actually first. It's easier to sort it this way.
Yeah.
It was Lou Dort's second playoff run.
Okay.
It was Jalen Williams' third playoff run.
Okay.
Chet Holmgren's second playoff run.
Okay.
Aaron Wiggins changed postseason. It was his second playoff run.
Okay. So here's where you're driving me crazy with this comparison to Oklahoma City. You're talking about outside of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and one other guy, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander did not struggle in the playoffs last year, did he?
His numbers in the playoffs last year were
30,
She's pretty good.
35, 36 and 5.
I don't know if they were that high. But
last
he's
year.
pretty good.
It was 37 and 6.
That was close.
Okay.
I was
Mike,
very close.
You're
wasn't I?
comparing the two. There's no comparison. This is, for most of those guys, their second trip to the playoffs, and for some, including their best player, third. For the Cavs, how many years has Donovan Mitchell been to the playoffs?
6.
How many years has Jarrett Allen been to the playoffs?
That was his third. Are you counting the play-in?
Yes.
Why does the play-in
Why
count?
does that
Well, if we
count?
count play-in, then add one more to each of the Thunder's guys.
If you don't count the play-in,
So then
you
add
are,
one more
you
to
are
Thunder.
giving them credit for losing in that play-in.
So give the Thunder one more because they also
All
lost
those
the play-in.
guys?
All those guys. Get
Okay,
one
so
more.
they're all 4-3.
And the Cavs are 4-3.
No, they're not. They're all 4. Every player on the Cavs is 4 except for Mobley.
Darius and Evan are on the same. They're the same. If you're going to count the play-in, it was play-in, Knicks, Orlando.
Was this year 4 for Mobley?
4, yeah.
Okay, so those guys have all been in the playoffs 4 years.
If you want to count the play-in, yes.
Donovan.
Of course you count the playoffs. I'm
Mobley
counting
was
for the
here for
Thunder
the
too. So the Thunder have some players that, including the play-in, a lot of those players you mentioned, it's only their 3rd year.
Yes.
Everybody on the Cavs is 4th year. And in that 3rd year for Oklahoma City and 4th year for a couple of the guys, they moved on to the finals.
So that means
the Cavs guys in year 4 for all of them, except for their best player who's done it for more than that, they didn't move on in that
Everybody
4th year.
progresses at the same rate, and therefore, if you don't do it by year 3, then it's not going to
That's
happen.
not what I'm saying.
That's exactly
That's
what
what
you're
you're
saying.
saying.
That is what you're
That's
saying.
what you're
That's
saying.
not
exactly what you're
Can I explain what I'm saying?
Please, because you didn't
See,
do a good job the first time.
compared the two as if, well, it's all set for next year for them to progress forward.
That's not what I said.
Okay, well, you're accusing me of saying something that I didn't say, so I guess I can do the same to you. Yes,
McNuggets.
it could happen next year, but it's comparing them to the Thunder is not apples to apples because the Thunder have progressed quicker than the Cavs have. Is that fair to say?
By like one season, because they were around the. No, listen, because
Yeah.
they were right around the play-in at the same time. I'm trying to do this off memory. They were both like playing teams around the same time. They were both on similar tracks. To your point, Donovan's been
Yeah.
in the playoffs multiple
Yes,
times.
yes.
And I wrote this. We've talked about this. I think we know the ceiling of a Donovan Mitchell-led team. I
Yes.
wholeheartedly agree with that. It's
Second-
the second
second
round.
round.
Yes. How much more evidence do you need?
We don't need any more
That
evidence.
doesn't mean that
He really
can't
never
be,
made it to the 3rd round.
But that doesn't mean that he can't be a terrific player on a team that goes to the finals and wins a championship.
I agree.
He just can't be the number one.
Agreed. But the point is the Thunder have done it essentially in their 3rd run. For Shea, it's his 4th run, but he was never the problem anyway. And Donovan is way more experienced than Shea does. And they've done it for a lot of those guys in their 3rd run. For Shea and one other guy, it's their 4th run.
Yep. Okay, so
whereas
if
the
they're doing it in
Cavs
their
on
third
their
run-
4th run, with Donovan's 6th run, they did not get past the point. I'm not saying they can't at some point. I'm just saying it's already taken them longer than the Thunder if they do it at all.
No one's disagreeing with that.
I just think.
Okay.
I just think.
Then we're all on the same page.
from the standpoint when you look at other teams, like it's a lot of the Cavs are doing 2 things that they say you're not supposed to do. Not supposed to play. Well, Evan Mobley. All right, take that back because
Yeah.
Evan can shoot now. But
Yeah.
before that, they had 2 bigs that couldn't shoot, and then they had 2 undersized guards.
Yes.
Yeah, they still have 2 undersized
So they
guards.
fixed one because Evan can shoot. The undersized thing, I mean, you
but-
can't take away what Darius does from an offensive standpoint. Like he outside of Donovan, he's like the only person that I actually have faith can go get his own bucket.
Yeah, but he can't.
But he
doesn't
I
post
can't
when it
help
matters,
that.
so-
Here's my issue, I guess, with trading Darius, because you've now created a hole that you now have to go back and backfill. Because we just said, okay, well, if you trade a creator, now you got to go get a creator. Well, number one, that's not as easy to do as we're trying to make it seem. If you move Jarrett, you're not creating a hole. You can move Jarrett. To me, feels like the move that you can make. That feels like the Josh Giddey, Alex Caruso type piece that
Spot on.
I don't know what you get back, but what you're removing isn't detrimental. You're not then now scrambling to backfill that piece you took. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
So
I get it.
The same with Boston with
Yeah.
the Marcus Smart and Porzingis, and then the other move that they made, bringing in Drew Holiday. There was nothing that they didn't create a hole that they had to then scramble to backfill by doing that.
Yeah.
And so from Cleveland's perspective, that's why I just think I don't know that Jarrett is the piece that is really going to help you deliver a championship. I just look with everything that happened last year with the ribs, with everything that happened this year, with the way he gets pushed around, I just don't love it. I just don't see it.
Yeah, the problem too is every other team's got to see it that way too. No.
He's a very good player.
Yeah.
He's a very good player.
But doesn't every team look at him as like soft? And so why is somebody going to trade for him?
I mean, it depends on the team. If you put him around a bunch of dogs,
Yeah.
it's not as
There are a few teams I think would overpay for Darius Garland. Minnesota being
No,
one of
Jarrett
them.
Allen I'm talking about.
I'm saying both.
Yeah.
And
So if
particularly,
there's teams that would overpay for them, then trade them. I get what you're saying. Yes, there is a losing Jarrett Allen is to me is no big deal for the Cavs. You know,
It hurts them defensively. It definitely hurts them defensively. I don't think it's insurmountable.
there's more to make up for by trading Darius Garland than it. Like Jarrett Allen, if you made a trade just to give you some flexibility, different chemistry, draft picks, whatever, like that could make. Whereas Darius Garland, you got to get another really good player in return.
I wanted to ask you this real quick. When you go back and you remember the Indiana series, what would
Yeah.
you say was the biggest, outside of toughness, like an actual on-court capacity?
They couldn't shoot,
right? They couldn't
and their
shoot.
defense was terrible.
Was their defense as bad as you remember, or was the offense historically bad?
The offense.
I would say both, but
it was just
I would say the
Donovan.
offense not being able to shoot at all would to me be the biggest
I
headline.
agree. We go
Yeah.
back 2 years ago when they played the Knicks in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We kept feeling like, oh my God, they can't score. They can't score.
Right.
They just got over 100 points one time. I believe the number, and I hope I'm right on this. In the 11 games in those 2 years that they played under Bickerstaff, they scored over 100 3 times.
Yeah.
Defense was not up to par. I don't want to give them a pass, but their offense has been what's been their Achilles heel the last 3 playoff runs.
Okay.
I understand the thought process of moving on from Darius, and for the right deal, like I am all open to doing it.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to get guys back that can create offense, because I don't think Donovan can handle that load for a 4 series in a row like we saw
Okay.
against Indiana. And Evan has
Yeah.
to be the other part of that.
Well, that's it.
That steps up.
If Evan doesn't, you guys have been saying for a long time they can't win till Evan's their best player, and you're right. I think we've seen that. All right, we've seen that they can't win with Donovan Mitchell as their best player. To this point, there's enough evidence. If Evan Mobley doesn't become that player,
And it doesn't matter what else.
Then they're
you
never
do.
gonna win.
It doesn't matter what
Right?
else you do.
If
Because
he-
you're not going to be able to trade
Right.
for. I don't want to hear the honest stuff. You're not going to
Yeah.
be able to trade for a player of that caliber
That's right.
that becomes the number one.
Why
Right.
you don't want to hear the
It's
So
It's Evan or it doesn't happen.
right, If Evan, as he currently is a very good NBA player, right?
Yes.
He's second team
All-NBA.
Yes.
but he's not a superstar.
Not yet.
no, not yet.
If he doesn't become a superstar, they'll never win a championship. Is that
Yep.
fair to say? Or most likely.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the other thing, and we'll move on because I want
Yeah.
to get one last Guardians topic in. If you look at OKC, if you look at Indiana, if you look at the Knicks and squint the right way, in the playoffs, the teams that have had success the last 3-4 years in particular, and I know basketball's changed, they have 3 guys who can generate a shot at any given time. 3 guys that can create for themselves. Indiana has Halliburton, Siakam, and Nembhard and Nesmith. They take turns being that guy. OKC, obviously, with SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. The Celtics last year. The teams that can't win at the highest levels are the teams that have 1 or 2 guys because the defense can focus so heavily on those 2 and force everyone else to make it. The Cavs have Donovan. Evan has to become that guy. Darius, in theory, and I put theory for a very specific reason, is that third guy. He hasn't been healthy enough. He hasn't lived up to that, hasn't played well enough to have become and solidified his spot. If you make any deals this summer, you have to make sure you enter next season with a third guy who can be when all hell breaks loose, can you get us a bucket in a playoff situation?
Don't you think those teams also have a lot more players that are versatile, that can do more things? Like
I think the Cavs are actually pretty versatile.
they are?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe not as versatile as OKC, but
I mean-
I think more versatile than most, yeah. When you say versatile, what do you mean?
Guys, like, how many guys do the Cavs have that are really good both offensively and defensively, that can shoot and get the ball to the basket?
Say it again.
That's good.
Good offensively and defensively.
and can shoot
And
drive.
get to the basket.
Well, do you count Donovan and Darius as
No,
the
Darius can't play
Darius
any
and
defense.
Darius and Donovan are not great defensive players.
No.
But the front court makes up for it, which is why I say losing Jarrett is detrimental to them. But I think DeAndre was a big addition to what they can do because of the length that he provides. He can shoot. I wouldn't put him in the creator category, but he can help on the offensive end. So I just think that they can do a bunch of different things well, and you can put a bunch of different lineups out there. I still think that they are, if they're healthy, I think they beat the Pacers, and I think they beat the Knicks. Now, part of the issue is you have to learn how to play when you're not healthy, and that's where I think they struggle. I don't think it's an issue of fit. I don't think it's an issue of they're not versatile enough. I think it's an issue of right here of being able to fight through when you aren't 100%.
Who are you, Kobe Altman?
But Jason, the Pacers have 8 players that are really contributing. The Cavs don't.
The Pacers are playing incredibly well right now. Let's come back a year from now and see if you still feel the same way.
Well,
about
2
those
years
guys.
in a row, the Pacers have gone further than the Cavs.
They went to the conference finals
What if
last year.
if the Pacers win the finals?
What if they win the finals?
Yeah.
Congratulations to them.
Would it change how you felt about the series? That'd be 2 years
because
in a
I don't
row.
think they're getting past OKC.
I'm just saying that'd be 2 years.
So
that
yeah,
the Cavs
I would
lost.
be really impressed by them.
Okay.
Because
I mean, last
I
year
don't
the
think
Pacers
they're not getting by the
The
finals.
Pacers are about to win their 3rd series of their in 2 years,
And
they were an underdog.
They were in the play-in championship for whatever that's worth. They were in the play-in championship last year. They went to the conference finals last year.
Yeah.
And
Meanwhile, the Cavs have not won a single series where they were an underdog.
I hear you, but I still believe if they're healthy, they beat the Pacers. I wholeheartly believe that.
Listen, I'm not going to argue. You know more basketball than I do, so I'm not going to argue about that.
But the issue is
I don't believe that anymore.
The issue is
Yeah.
their mental tough. Like I agree with Kobe on that. Is he wouldn't come out and say it, but I think the mental toughness that I interpret that is you got to go, even when you're not right, even when you don't feel well. Like I thought Perk had a great. I know you think he's nuts, but I thought he had a great answer on you don't. Can I cut? I don't know.
Just cuss.
He said you can't shit, shave, or bathe until you win another game. Like it is that obsessive.
Yeah.
With and I don't think Darius and Evan have that mentality. But getting shit on this whole offseason might help get them there. If this doesn't get them there, nothing will.
That's right.
Because they're going to just get torched this entire offseason. They're going to hear their name in trade rumors and everything else.
Who, Jarrett and
Jarrett is what he is. I think like Jarrett is what he is.
Well,
You can't change Jarrett. That is
why
exactly
is
who he
Evan
is.
getting because he missed the game with the ankle?
No, probably
And he
not
didn't
Evan
step
as
up his
much.
game in the playoffs.
But Evan needs to become.
He didn't. I
Evan,
thought he played solid. He didn't play solid in them games.
Can't play solid. You second team All NBA. You got to step up your game.
Evan needs to become the best player on the team. But I guess I'm more talking about Jarrett and Darius.
Yeah.
And like, and Donovan too. But I mean, Donovan, I think Donovan, I've talked about it before. I think Donovan's obsessed with winning.
Yeah.
I think he's the only guy on this roster that is totally consumed and obsessed with winning. And now those other guys have to get there.
Jarrett Allen's obsessed with playing 82
If
regular
this
season
offseason
games.
doesn't get them there, nothing
will.
Yeah.
Well said. All right, we got one last Guardians topic to get to, and it is brought to us by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, in practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the all-stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver all the things we need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices, from small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global visions. We'll equip you with the right tools to move forward. Think ahead and lead the way, because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most out of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at easierwithepicor.com. On Friday, the Guardians take on the Angels. You can find that game right here on WKYC. Make sure you guys tune into that. Okay, question for you guys. Jose Ramirez is on fire lately. He's currently on a 21-game hitting streak, and during that 21-game hitting streak, he is hitting nearly 400. He's got 4 homers, 12 RBIs. Bull, is a 1.100 OPS good or bad?
It's excellent.
It is actually his 13 extra base hits into that 21-game hitting streak. He has shaken off completely. There's a little bit of a slow start to the season he was having. Despite that, he still only has 27 RBIs, which is in the 70s
Not his fault.
overall. But
that's not really his fault completely.
the question I wanted to ask you guys,
Yeah.
in a world where Thanos from the Avengers could snap and make people disappear, if I were to snap and make Aaron Judge disappear off the face of the earth, would Jose be the front runner right now for the AL MVP award? Is he having that good of a season?
No, go ahead, Tyus.
I was going to say Kyle Rowley for the Mariners.
He'd be right there. He'd certainly be ahead of Jose.
Or Bobby Witt. I mean,
those are all guys in the conversation.
Yeah.
you think he'd be the front runner?
Jose?
Yeah.
I think he's got a hell of a case.
I think I ain't saying he don't got a case now, but I think that those two names that I also just mentioned is also playing really well too, and I think it'd be somewhere in that mix of that bag.
Jose is not finishing second if the MVP were voted on today. You look at traditional stats, he's not high enough. You look at WAR, he's not high enough. Even if you just look at offense, plus his defense hasn't been quite as good this year. Jose is a great player, and he's absolutely on fire right now. And if he gets to 25, 26 games in the hit streak, then we got to, start talking about where we are historically. But if you look at his WAR, I mean, I think he's like 20th or even lower than that in WAR. Just in offensive WAR alone, which I know WAR confuses a lot of people, but a lot of people follow that, and a lot of people vote on it. If you look at just offensive WAR, according to Fangraphs, he's tied for 20th in Major League Baseball behind these guys in the American League: Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, Bobby Witt, Jacob Wilson, Alex Bregman, well, he's hurt, Jeremy Pena, Itzhak Paredes. So he's behind like 6 or 7 guys in terms of just offensive WAR. And total WAR, he's even lower because his defense hasn't been very good this year. Great base runner, great player. Love Jose, love everything about him. I'm glad he's bounced back after the slow start. But no, he would not be the MVP. He'd finish, he'd get some votes down the line, but I don't think he'd get any first place votes.
So he's not in the conversation?
Not really. To me, no. I'll say maybe I could put him in the conversation because there's not a clear second guy. It's not obviously clear.
No, I think Witt's going to get a lot of votes.
Cal Raleigh, considering he's a catcher,
he's having an incredible year.
I mean, what is he, second or third in the majors in home runs?
Second in home runs.
I mean, that's magnificent for a catcher. It's just crazy.
I talked to him last spring training for his dad was his coach.
Yeah.
I did the story on switch hitting and how switch hitters are dying off.
Yeah.
He's a switch hitter, and he said he was so grateful to his dad. His dad made him do it as he was a kid, and he's having a monster year.
Yeah, and if you look at it's an advantage to be on a division winner too. Right now they lead the West.
Yeah.
The Yankees don't have another candidate besides Judge, and the Tigers don't really have an MVP candidate. Spencer Torkelson's having a nice bounce back season, but he's not an MVP candidate. So Raleigh,
Devers is having a great year offensively, but he's a DH, and I think he'll get dinged by.
Yeah, there's just all this weird stuff around him, and they're playing they're under 500 now.
Yeah.
So no, if I had to vote right now for second place in the MVP, I'd vote for Cal Raleigh. So good call by you, Tyvus.
Impressive!
But we still got a long way to go. You telling me could Jose finish second? Absolutely. But right now, I wouldn't vote. I wouldn't even consider voting him for second.
How impressive is what he's done over the last 30 days? That's 21 games.
It's amazing considering he has no help around him.
Yeah.
Like the only other really good hitter on the team that's ahead of him in Kwan. And I know Manzardo's been solid, but nobody's afraid of Kyle Manzardo. Jose Ramirez is literally the only hitter you fear in this lineup because. As good as Kwan is, teams don't fear Stephen Kwan. He's a good hitter, but he's not really a power hitter, so you don't really fear guys that are not power hitters.
You know who they should fear?
Who?
Big Christmas.
No, they literally don't. They don't.
Nobody.
Stop it.
Speaking of Big Christmas, no. I was going to say Franmil Reyes got cut, but he's already gone.
You want to hear something sad about Jose's hot streak? In the last 30 days, he has more extra base hits than he has RBIs. Meaning that literally nobody's on base in front of him when he gets up.
Now, part of it's that. It might also be he's not getting hits at runners in scoring position. I'd have to look at the numbers.
That's actually a good point. Fair.
But
he's hitting 390 in the last 30 days.
Yeah, it's probably that guys aren't on base more than he's not getting clutch hits. But
does John Kinsey speak English?
Yeah.
Okay. Just asking.
I've seen
every player speaks English.
Well,
a lot of players
they
want
play
you to believe they don't speak English.
They play it off good.
They all the Spanish speakers speak English.
So if I see a baseball player and I say something, he know exactly
Absolutely.
what I'm saying.
100%.
Okay.
They all understand.
Okay.
They just it allows them not to talk to the media a lot if they no hablo inglés. Same thing with the Japanese players to some degree.
I've told you the Jose story, right, Ty?
Yeah, you said that he was working out.
Oh, Jose's been here forever. Of course he speaks English.
He
was talking English to his trainer, and someone
Of
asked him for a
course.
picture, and he goes, "No hablo inglés."
Yeah, right,
The guy
right,
turned
right.
his back, and he was like, "Yeah, so what are we doing after the game?"
They all
Are you surprised, Ty?
I'm not surprised that he did that, but I truly felt like some people on the Guardians probably. I'm like, man, maybe they really don't know how to speak English.
No.
No, we blew Tyvis's mind when I told you.
Because I had like literally that year after a game, he had a translator standing right there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, he been here this long, he still got a translator, but like he like did it like that, and I'm like, man, he might not know how to really speak English.
I mean, some of it is there's some nuance in the language maybe you don't want to miss, but generally it's that they want to do less. Jose Ramirez doesn't do a lot of interviews.
Do you think it's been translators that the guy is actually saying that's a BS answer, but the translator?
Oh, translators cleaning up all the time.
Is that a fact?
All the time.
Yeah,
But
there are
word for word.
there's a lot of people in America that speak Spanish though, so you can only get away with it to some degree.
we just saw that.
Yeah.
I think it was Devers.
Yeah.
Where Devers was speaking
Yes.
in Spanish and
Yeah.
the translator cleaned it up.
Right.
And
Well,
people on Twitter were like, no. That's not what he said.
Yeah, because the whole he doesn't want to play first. Now, to be fair to him, the Red Sox botched that whole situation. But
How?
how? How about you fly to his house in the winter and say, hey, we're adding a third baseman, so we're going to want you to play first base. Prepare as a first baseman, but you're going to probably be the DH. You sign the guy to a big contract. He's your franchise player. He's your best player. Do him the courtesy of going there. I get it. He's got to be a good teammate.
It's also a
that.
dick move to not play first.
It
It's
is a dick
total
move, but the way they handled it, if they had handled it better in the beginning, he probably would have played first base.
I don't know.
I think you owe it to that your best player if you're going to switch his
probably
position.
right. You're probably right.
Yeah. Now he's handled it badly too, but they screwed up in the first place. But anyway, meanwhile, one other baseball story is the Rockies, who are 9-46. Remember last year the White Sox set a futility record, winning 40 games in a season. The Rockies are on pace to win 26.
We all know Bull loves talking about the Cubs. I think he loves talking about the Rockies
it.
almost as much as
I'm
he loves
obsessed
talking
with
about
talking
the
about
Cubs.
the Rockies. Well, because I want to see how
You
many games-
like car crashes.
I do.
You stop and rubberneck car
No, I
crashes.
actually don't. I hate people that do that. I don't. Speaking of which,
Well, the
and I-
Colorado Rockies are a car
speaking
crash.
of random things, well, let's finish on the Colorado Rockies. You got any other thought?
No.
They actually have a decent bullpen, by the way. They got some decent arms in that pen. They have their
Clearly not.
lineup is the worst, and their rotation's terrible. One other thing I want to say that's kind of random, and I know I'm going to be in the minority with men, but every day, like today, I'm at a light that I actually didn't go through, and I see this woman walking with high heels, and I'm thinking, why do women wear high heels? It's insane. The fact that we are in a society that women wear high heels, it is batshit crazy. So I'm speaking to all women out there, stop wearing high heels. And if guys don't like it, that's on them. Don't make yourself suffer. It is not comfortable to wear high heels. Any woman that says it's comfortable is lying to you because she wants to pretend it is, and she's conned herself
What
into
if they
believing.
like the way that they look?
It's insane.
What if they don't like being short and they like being
Who cares about being? That is the male patriarchy telling people they shouldn't be short or whatever. Women are
Jason
shorter.
is
That's
short.
it. Who cares? What?
Jason's short. You know?
Oh, and he's not? What are you picking on
I
me
didn't
for?
say I wasn't short. I am short.
Y'all
but I
have a problem with
Wait
it.
a second, Jason. I have more of an excuse to be short than you do.
What is that?
I'm Jewish. Jewish people are generally shorter, and so I.
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
In the Jewish community,
You thought he was gonna say
I'm average height. You're Christian. In the Christian community, you're short.
Well, my mom and dad were short. There's nothing I could do about it. So, this is all I got.
Yeah, I know.
This is all I got to work
In
with.
my family, I'm tall. You should see me taking pictures of the rest of my family. I look like a giant. My sister's like 4'11". My mom's 5 foot even. My brother-in-law's like 5'5".
How tall's your dad?
My dad was about the same height as me. But my mom's dad was tall. He was over 6 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
So you thought you had a shot?
When I'll never forget Dr. Antar. Dr. Antar, I love you, but you steered me wrong. When I was in the 6th grade, I'll never forget him saying, "You're going to be well over 6 feet tall."
You was ecstatic, huh?
I was like, damn right, I'm going to play in the majors. I was convinced I was going to play in the majors. All right, go ahead, Mike.
Just a quick reminder that
Yeah.
Friday, WKYC, Guardians, Angels. Coverage begins at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Make sure you tune in. Tomorrow we got Curtis Danberg and Justin Latta joining the show to help us preview the big Guardians-Angels matchup. Bull,
Yes.
last stop before you tell us about Menu RX one more time.
Oh, yeah. Menu RX, menu-rx.com. Dr. Jake May and his crew. If you're looking to lose weight, get in better shape, just find the right diet for your body. They do metabolic testing. We're actually using science, not some idiot on Instagram telling you if you eat 18 cashews a day, you're going to lose weight. Nobody can speak for you and nobody can speak for your body. But at Menu RX, they will test you specifically and test your body to learn how your body reacts to different foods. This is great. And it's unique to Menu RX. So if you want to actually work with doctors, scientists, nutritionists to get in the best shape of your life, go to menu-rx.com. That's menu-rx.com. Sign up with any of their plans and get a 1-year membership to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, absolutely free, $60 value for no money. Your health insurance may cover your Menu RX subscription, and you can definitely use HSA and FSA spending accounts. Menu-rx.com.
We got one super chat, then I got a. We're gonna do an overtime topic. We're gonna start it now and let it bleed into overtime.
Yeah, what is he cracking up about?
Well, he's cracking up with this super chat, which it comes from Crackhead with a Pepsi, who said, "Don't worry, I got you, McNuggets." in relation to
you had to be there at the beginning of the show to get that reference. Go back and watch it.
But thank you, Crackhead with the Pepsi. I do appreciate you. Phil Bowman also gifted 10 memberships. Thanks.
Good job,
10
Phil.
memberships today, so thank you, Phil. And I don't know, can you change your YouTube name?
No, he made it 24 minutes ago, according to this.
According to our YouTube information, he became a member and made this channel 24 minutes ago, which he must have just saw. So I appreciate you, Crackhead with the Pepsi.
Crackhead with a Pepsi,
You're now my favorite member of the chat for the next 24 hours. Okay. Jason Lloyd, I'm not sure if you even know your outlet did this, but The Athletic put out its MLB all-quarter century team. Well, have you seen this?
I've not. No. Who did it? Who wrote it?
Wait,
Jason Stark.
Baseball.
It was in the group chat of that baseball league you got me in.
I missed it somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, I did see it, but I didn't pay much attention to it.
Go ahead. What do we got?
So I'm going to read you guys, Jason. This is one person. This was his personal.
So it's 2000 to 2025, including
the start of this season.
Okay.
The all-quarter century team. So I'm going to give you the lineup.
Yeah, it's hard because you think about all these players, and you go, anyway.
If you ask for a position for his rationale, who else he considered, I will read it.
Okay.
But we're going to do this. We'll start the show, then we'll regain the rest of overtime.
If the player started before 2000, those stats don't count. He only gets.
Nope, it is just from years 2000 to 2000.
Okay, go ahead.
End of 24 season.
Got it.
Mark McGwire.
No. Do you guys want to guess the outfield?
I already know it.
Ken
Mike
Griffey.
Trout.
Correct. He's the center fielder.
No, can you talk about it's starting 2000, Tyvus. So Mike Trout's one of the outfielders. Aaron Judge or not yet?
Nope, Judge is the right fielder.
Oh, he is.
He is.
So I'm 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Oh, they did specifically center, right, left?
Yep.
So who's the left fielder?
Come on, this is easy. Greatest left fielder ever.
Stephen Kwan.
Not Stephen Kwan.
What?
Barry Bonds.
Why am I thinking?
So he had.
How many years did Bonds play?
He was a
Yes.
rookie in like 93,
986.
94. He was absolutely
I
early
was thinking
2000s.
that more of his career was before 2000.
He played 986 games between 2000 and when he retired.
Yeah.
So almost 1,000 games.
All
In
right.
those 1,000 games, he had 317 homers, had 700
Okay.
RPIs, and a OPS in 1,000 games of 1.241.
All right. I thought it was more games than that.
That's ridiculous.
Before 2000, but okay.
Other guys he considered,
Yeah.
Juan Soto, Manny Ramirez, and he put Ryan Braun ? Okay, that's as much as I'm considering him. Cross him off the list.
Yeah, you can't put Braun on that list.
But why could you put Bonds and not? I mean, Bonds is better than Braun, but why?
Bonds did a much longer than Braun. Braun's peak was not
No,
that
I
long.
hear you. Braun wouldn't even be under consideration, but why put a question mark? That's insinuating
Oh.
the steroid stuff to me. When Bonds is on there and Manny's on there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Braun just doesn't belong in the conversation.
No,
with those
not
guys.
at all.
Now, his peak for a couple of years, he was very good. but
He
wasn't-
literally, what I read is exactly what he wrote.
Yeah, okay.
Braun, okay, that's enough
All
consideration.
right,
He's
so
not the one.
all right, now the
Any issues with the outfield?
no,
No, I mean Manny. I'd love to see Manny, but Judge is one of one.
yeah.
Let's go to
he's
the
done it
infield.
long enough now.
First base. He said this was an easy one.
Frank Thomas?
Nope.
No, that's too early also.
I saw it, and now I don't remember.
Who are we forgetting? Best first baseman in the last 25 years.
He has over 700 homers, 3,300 hits.
Pujols.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. God.
Albert,
Jesus.
yeah.
Second base.
I do
This one's
remember
interesting.
second base. I remember, so I'll sit this one out. It's not a name that you would.
Pedroia?
I think it's controversial.
Pedroia?
This one is controversial.
Jose
for sure.
Altuve.
Yes.
Oh, it is?
Jose.
I thought it was Cano.
Nice.
I thought
No,
it was,
he said Cano was in the discussion, as was Chase Utley. And he said, listen, you call me a hypocrite later, but I'm digging Cano for 2 PED offenses, and I'm not going to hold it against other people. When you compare the two, I think it's close enough that I went with Altuve and the non-PEDs.
Cano's
But the
greatness
trash cans.
wasn't long enough. I love Utley. I might go with Utley over Altuve, but I can understand going with Altuve. All right.
trash
Shortstop?
cans are not as big of a detriment as PEDs, apparently.
Shortstop A-Rod?
Nope.
I was gonna say
This is one where a former Indian almost came into play.
How is it not A-Rod at shortstop?
Unless they moved him to third because he played more third. Jeter? Is it Jeter?
It is Jeter. A-Rod's a third baseman for this round.
Oh, okay.
Third base.
Yeah. Well, so A-Rod.
It's not A-Rod. And that's the tease. Find out who he put as his all-time
Okay, we'll see it in overtime.
MLB quarter century 2020-25 third baseman. It's not A-Rod. It's someone else. See it in a minute.